At Citi Field in New York, the New York Mets play the Cleveland Guardians. New York Mets baseball on SNY is brought to you by your local Chevy dealers. Visit ChevyOffers.com. By Citi, for each Mets home run at Citi Field, Citi will donate $2,000 to No Kid Hungry. By the New York Lottery, visit SNY.TV/New York Lottery to enter the Mets Swing for the Fences promotion for a chance to win $15,000. And by Toyota, the summer starts here at Toyota. Let's go places. You want a close-up of a subway platform? We got a close-up of a subway platform. It's actually looking pretty clean. 7 train heading for Main Street. Don't go all the way to Main Street. Get off the second to last stop. Mets, Willets Point, Citi Field, home of the Purple Flowers. Who knew? And a pleasant good evening, everybody, and welcome to Citi Field. Gary Cohen, Ron Darling with you tonight as the Mets open a 3-game series against the Cleveland Guardians. First meeting between the Mets and Cleveland since 2019. So the first time for these two teams to get together since that monumental trade that they made before the 2021 season, where the Mets sent Andres Gimenez and Ahmed Rosario to the then Indians in exchange for Francisco Lindor and Carlos Carrasco. So how do we look at that trade right now?
Well, I was just thinking the theme for all 4 players is they got off to a slow start. But after that, if you look at the Cleveland side, Andres Gimenez has made himself into a star. Last year he was a big part of that lineup. He finished 6th in the MVP voting. He's hit both left-handed, right-handed pitching to go along with that great defense. And his Cleveland team ended up losing to the New York Yankees in the division series. And Ahmed Rosario, who was always a great athlete with the Mets, has continued to be a great athlete out in Cleveland, has become their fixture at shortstop. So both of those players are their mainstays up the middle.
And like Gimenez and Rosario, Francisco Lindor had a terrific year last year, kind of a puzzling year so far this year.
Well, he was 9th in the MVP voting as the Mets made it to the postseason and lost to the Padres. It's been unusual in the sense that there's plenty of slug, there's plenty of driving in of runs, but there hasn't been a lot of batting average yet, except that batting average seems to be going up. And if you look at the pitching tonight with Carlos Carrasco coming over, he started off, you couldn't start off any slower than he did. But last season, you look at the innings, you look at the wins, he had the most wins on the ball club. And tonight is an important start. You know, he hurt the bone spurs. He was out with the virus. This is his first start after coming off the IL. It'll be interesting to see if he can return to that 2022 form.
So Carrasco facing Cleveland for the first time. He pitched for them for 11 seasons. It's the Mets and Guardians at Citi Field. All the action coming up on SNY. New York Mets baseball on SNY is brought to you by Memorial Sloan Kettering Cancer Center, because where you're treated first matters. By your local Ford stores. For current offers, visit buyfordnow.com. And by Chitties and Coca-Cola, a recipe for magic. Walk-offs hit different here. Don't miss a moment at Citi Field with no fees on tickets to all remaining Mets home games. Offer ends Sunday. Get to Mets.com/walkoff now. Which brings us to the Audi electrifying play of the week, and it was said walk-off. Boom. Pete Alonso provided the Mets with the decisive blow in their first walk-off victory of the season. And that's the one the Mets hope gets their season pointed in the right direction. They followed it up with a win yesterday, trying to make 3 straight tonight as they welcome in the Guardians. Mets and Guardians first pitch coming right up. Francisco Alvarez getting set to take his spot behind the plate. Mets have all 3 of their rookies in the lineup today. Beatty, Vientos, and Alvarez all in the starting lineup for Buck Showalter.
Oh, look at that camouflage gear.
Well, it's military appreciation night. Both teams are wearing special green caps. So are the umpires for the occasion. That's why we have the helicopter flyover today. It's part of Military Appreciation Night. There's the Hyundai starting lineup for the Guardians, the 2nd lowest scoring team in the American League. But Jose Ramirez missed their last 3 games on the bereavement list. Josh Naylor missed the last 2 with a leg injury. They're both back in the lineup, and that provides that Guardians lineup with a little more pop in the middle. Terry Francona, the longest tenured manager in the major leagues, his 11th season with the Guardians. They made the postseason 5 of the last 7 years. Last year swept Tampa Bay in the wild card round and then took a 2-1 lead on the Yankees in the division series before the Yankees won the last 2 and ended the Guardians season.
You see those Toyota numbers for Carrasco. So in his first 3 starts, obviously those bone spurs were hurting them even then, so his velocity was down. To see if he's fully healed, does that velocity shoot up today? And you see the defense with the rookie Alvarez behind the plate, rookie Beatty at third base, Lindor and McNeil up the middle, Big Pete at first base. Boy, he's red hot. And Canna, Nimmo, and Marte. Nice to see Marte in the lineup after getting hit by the pitch.
Steven Kwan leads off for Cleveland. First pitch by Carrasco is in for a strike, and we're underway. Kwan had himself a terrific rookie season last year, won a Gold Glove, established himself as the Guardians leadoff hitter with a .373 on base percentage last year. He's almost up to the same level this year. Very tough hitter to strike out. And Carrasco misses away with a fastball. It's 1-1.
Steven Kwan last year, the first 122 pitches he saw and swung at, he did not swing and miss. 122.
122? That's a lot of at bats.
That's right.
And Carrasco misses inside with the fastball, and it's 2-1. Kwan, then Rosario and Ramirez against Carrasco, who's facing Cleveland for the first time. It's the only team in the majors he has never faced. Spent 11 years with Cleveland. Those first inning numbers we just put on the screen for Carrasco are reflected by this entire staff this year. The opponent has scored first against the Mets in the last 12 games. Ties the franchise record for most games in a row where the opponent has scored first. And Kwan punches one in the air. Retreating is McNeil. And Jeff goes back to make the catch for the first out of the night.
Nice pitch by Carrasco, getting in on Kwan.
Now Ahmed Rosario. He was interested to hear what a reaction he would get tonight. And it's a tepid one. Ahmed spent 4 years with the Mets, over 400 games. He had himself a terrific year last year, hit .283 with 11 home runs. This year he's been down a little bit, .247, 1 home run. And he hits the first pitch back up the middle, and he's got a base hit. So Rosario, who is so often up there swinging at the first pitch, does exactly that. And the Guardians have their first base runner.
Rosario paying attention to the Kwan at bat, very spread out. Doesn't really take a step, just squishes that bug with his front foot, pushes it down, and a BB up the middle. But a lot of fastballs from Carrasco to Kwan, so Rosario was ready.
Rosario's got 7 steals and 7 tries. The Guardians second in the American League in steals. You figure to do a lot of running in this series. Here's Jose Ramirez, their best player, and he takes outside ball 1. Ramirez really the face of this franchise. He has spent 11 years with Cleveland. He's in the second year of a 7-year deal, and he's going to end up being one of the great Cleveland players of all time. If you go back the last 7 years, Jose Ramirez has more extra base hits than any player in Major League Baseball. He has 433 extra base hits the last 7 years. Nolan Arenado is second on that list with 414. Switch hitter who hits wonderfully from both sides, and he takes a changeup away from Carrasco. 2-0. Ramirez was on the bereavement list the last 3 days. His grandmother passed away, so he was back home in the Dominican Republic, rejoined the team here in New York. 4-time All-Star, and even more significantly, 5 times now in his career, Jose Ramirez has finished in the top 6 in the MVP balloting. He has been one of the great players in the American League year after year. And a 4-pitch walk puts him aboard, and now Carrasco has a situation to deal with. First and second, 1 out. Well, we mentioned the Guardians second to last in the American League in runs scored. They're last in home runs, 13th in on base percentage, 15th in slugging percentage. One thing they do very well, though, is run.
They run, they put the ball in play, as you see Rosario talking to Lindor at second base. The home run should be no surprise, though. Last year they were 29th in baseball. Only the Tigers hit less.
Well, Josh Naylor has been their best home run hitter. He's got 6 this year. He had 3 game-winning shots in the last week. And then he hurt his leg on Tuesday night and missed the last 2 games, but back in the lineup tonight.
All those home runs, 3 in a row in the 8th inning.
Right. Naylor, big, strong left-hand hitter. First saw him with the San Diego Padres. In fact, he and Cal Quantrill, who's on the mound tonight for San Diego, came to the Guardians in the same trade with San Diego. 6 straight out of the strike zone from Carrasco after the base hit by Rosario. And Naylor slices one foul, 2-1.
A big player in that trade that went from Cleveland to San Diego, or the centerpiece, is only Mike Clevenger, the right-handed pitcher, who got hurt straight away.
And now is with the White Sox, whom the Guardians just played. White Sox won the first 2 of that series. Guardians won yesterday, a typical Cleveland win. They won it 3-1. They pitch well. They put the ball in play. They try to scratch out runs. And right now, Carrasco giving them a little boost by failing to throw strikes.
Well, Naylor's now on a hitter's count, and if you watched him play, he is a cutter and slasher. He wants to swing that bat.
Well, that's 3/4 of the trade right there. Rosario, Lindor, and Carrasco. Only missing Jimenez. That's driven out to right field. Marte goes back, takes a look, and that ball is out of here. Josh Naylor back in the lineup for the Guardians, and he hits a 3-run homer in the first inning, and Cleveland jumps on top 3-0. 7th home run of the year for Naylor, his 4th in the last week. The one power threat in that lineup, and he comes through with a 3-run homer to put Carrasco in a hole.
This is so rare for this Guardians team for this to happen, but a 2-0 count, 2-1 count, 3-1 count, and he didn't miss. Long home run to right center.
Well, the Mets' first inning tumbles continue. That's 13 straight games, a new club record in which the opposition has scored first. Here's Josh Bell, and he takes a fastball out of the strike zone for ball 1.
There's the overhead shot of the home run. He gets that bat out quick. Told you he's a cutter and slasher. Loves to swing that bat, and he gets one center cut.
Bell takes a fastball strike. Josh Bell split his year between Washington and San Diego. He went with Juan Soto in the trade to the Padres last year. Signed as a free agent with the Guardians for 1 year. And he takes a splitter down. 2 balls and a strike. Well, it's 41. I think it's 41-10 actually in the first inning. I'll have to get that updated. Mets did score a first inning run yesterday. Pulled on the ground foul by Bell, 2-2, but you get the picture. 41-10 is pretty lopsided.
I mean, it just makes it really difficult on your ball club each and every night. It's become a theme for this team to play from behind.
Well, that's all about starting pitching. Mets hoping to get more intact tonight with Carrasco's return for the first time in more than a month. And Bell takes that one down, and it's 3-2.
And it's counterintuitive to what the Mets have done best this year. When they score first, they're 13-2. They haven't had a shot at that.
Well, it's also a team that was supposed to be built around strong starting pitching, and it has gone exactly the opposite way. Bell skies one to center. This one should be easy for Nimmo. And that's the second out. And, you know, the big culprits are the usual ones, right? The Mets lead the league in walks allowed, and they lead the league in home runs allowed.
It's a microcosm of the inning we just saw, right? Or part of this inning here.
And Rosario had a first pitch base hit, but then a 4-pitch walk to Ramirez. Carrasco falls behind to Naylor, and he hits it out of the ballpark. Here's Andres Gimenez, who had himself an all-star season last year. Not only hit .287, 17 home runs, 20 steals, also won a Gold Glove at second base. Still just 24 years old. And they just signed him to a 7-year contract extension. Goes after the high fastball, misses 1-1. And has played 49 games for the Mets in 2020 before they traded him. And you could see that the talent and the instinct for the game was there. I don't know if anybody thought he was going to be a guy who would hit 15 to 20 home runs, but he certainly showed last year he could do that.
Well, one of the keys also is that he really hit left-handed pitching as well.
Carrasco ahead 1-2. He attacks him with a high fastball and he fouls it back. Well, Carrasco is probably going to be limited in how deep he can go into this game, and now 25 pitches deep in the first inning. He's had 2 rehab starts. The last one on Sunday for Binghamton. He threw 52 pitches, trying to work his way back to a full start. And he comes inside and gets Jimenez to end the inning, but not before Josh Naylor's 3-run homer puts the Mets in an early hole. Mets might need some more Pete power today. Already down 3-0 as they come to bat. There's your Honda starting lineup. Mark Vientos getting the start against the right-hander at DH. So all 3 rookies, Beatty, Vientos, and Alvarez, in the lineup against the veteran right-hander Cal Quantrill. Paul was his dad.
That's right.
Quantrill has really put together a good couple of years in a row.
It's win day when he pitches. They're 3-0 in his last 3 starts. Something to look at. He threw 107 pitches in his last start against the Angels. Last 25 starts, he is on his own 13-2.
1-1 to Brandon Nimmo leading off. Nimmo snapped an 0-for-16 stretch with a base hit his last time up yesterday. His 50th hit of the year. That puts him 8th in the National League in base hits. Lindor and McNeil to follow. And Quantrill misses away. This is only the 2nd time Quantrill's ever faced the Mets. Faced them as a Padre in San Diego back in 2019 and lasted just 4 1/3 in that game. And a swing and a miss on the sinker from Quantrill, and it's 3-2.
He's got a 2-seamer that runs, but his pitch go-to is his cutter.
Quantrill now 28 years old, and he strikes out Nimmo with the sinker, and that's the first out.
Let's see defensively for the Guardians this evening. The veterans Bell and Ramirez on the corners. Of course, Rosario, Jimenez. We talked about. Ken Gallagher threw out 2 base runners trying to steal in yesterday's game. And Straw in center field. Hasn't been a Straw in center field since 1985.
One of the fastest men in baseball, Miles Straw. Francisco Lindor, his first ever at bat against the Cleveland team. Spent 6 years in Cleveland, hit 138 home runs. And he punches one towards short, where Rosario picks it off for the 2nd out. So Quantrill easily disposing of the first 2 hitters, and that'll bring up Jeff McNeil. Jeff's hit in 5 straight games. A really good series against Tampa Bay. You know, the home runs by Vientos, Alvarez, and Alonso took center stage in that win Wednesday night, but McNeil had a great at bat to set it up. He takes a strike. Really fought off Pete Fairbanks a couple of times before he dumped one into right center field, and Alonso did the rest. And that cutter runs up and in, and it's 1-1 to McNeil. Cal Quantrill's dad, Paul, pitched most of his career in Toronto, and so Cal was born in Port Hope, Ontario. Dad also spent some time as a Yankee.
That's right.
So he lived in the New York suburbs for a while, then went to Stanford. He became the first ever freshman to start opening day for the Stanford Cardinal.
Really?
Yeah.
Messina never did that, right?
Nope.
Well, Cal credits his coach in travel ball, Rybrook, with all of his great pitching now.
That, of course, is our producer, Greg Picker. The problem was they played up because Cal was a little older, and then Cal's dad got traded. He left, and they got smushed all year. And there's strike 3 called, and McNeil can't believe it. Will Little calls him out. Jeff, I think, had that pitch low. 3-0 Cleveland after 1. Miles Straw leads off in the 2nd inning against Carlos Carrasco and takes curveball for a strike. Straw, a guy who can really fly, play the outfield, steal bases, but those guys who, they always say you can't steal first base. So he'll bunt for hits, he'll draw some walks, trying to get aboard. It's just 221 last year, 231 this year. And he skies that one toward the gap in left center field, and that ball's going to go off the wall. Nimmo plays the carom, and Straw pulls it at second base with a double. Sorry, Miles. 7th double of the year for Miles Straw, and it comes leading off in the 2nd.
I think you must be talking a little louder tonight, Gary. He heard you.
Miles Straw played the entire season last year, almost 500 at bats, never hit a home run. He has not hit a home run this year. That's about as close as he comes to hitting a home run.
Halfway up the wall.
And you got to watch out because he'll steal 3rd. There's Will Brennan, the right fielder, hitting 8th in the order. So the Guardians, who have not had much offensive punch this year, have shown some off in the first 2 innings against Carrasco. 3-run homer by Naylor in the 1st, and that long double by Straw to start the 2nd. These are not the Hartford Yard Goats. Changeup misses away, 1 ball, 1 strike.
Well, he got a fastball to hit, and watch the side swing. A little leg kick there, got the foot down early.
He's a better splitter by Carrasco, and it's 1-2. Let's see. Miles Straw in his career has 5 home runs. 4 of them came in 2021, the other one in 2018. Little tapper, Carrasco off the mound. That'll advance the runner. And Carrasco a little trouble getting out of his glove, but gets it to Alonso. Straw to 3rd with 1 out. Tonight's City Community Home Runs fan of the game is Jeff from Queen Creek, Arizona. Go to sny.tv/CHR to enter. Good luck, Jeff. We have had fans of the game from everywhere. Infield in now for the number 9 hitter, Cam Gallagher. Gallagher had the go-ahead hit for the Guardians yesterday in their game against the White Sox. How big a deal was that? Well, Cam Gallagher, before that base hit yesterday, was in an 0 for 34 stretch. Hadn't had a base hit in a month. And he lines that one to left field. Coming on is Canna, but it'll drop in, and Gallagher's got another hit, and that'll bring in another run. So he's hot now. Straw comes in to score, and that makes it 4-0 Cleveland.
Gary, it's not only that he had his first hit in an 0 for 34 streak, because he gets this fastball that jams him, but he's a big, strong kid, and he dumped it in front of Canna. But the Guardians had not had a base hit from a catcher in the entire month of May.
Yeah, Mike Zunino, their number 1 catcher, is 0 for his last 27. So here's Stephen Kwan, and he slaps one down to 3rd. Beatty gets it to 2nd, on target to Lindor, and on to 1st for the 5-6-3 double play, doubling up the speedy Stephen Kwan. But the Guardians had a run and lead 4-0. Francisco Alvarez and Carlos Carrasco talking things over. It's been a rocky first couple of innings for Carrasco in his first start back off the injured list.
Kind of asking Alvarez what he's seeing, and Alvarez is telling him.
Pete Alonso leads off the 2nd. Pete has homered in each of the last 3 games. He's had 1 4-game home run streak in his career. It came in his rookie season in 2019. And Quantrill tied him up, and he did not swing. The ball and a strike. Alonso, Beatty, and Marte for the Mets against Quantrill, who worked a 1-2-3 first inning with a couple of strikeouts. Your Blue Moon bright spot. Home run leader, Pete Alonso. National League RBI leader, Pete Alonso. And Pete skies one to center, and Straw comes in a few strides. One out.
I have to say, the one thing you see with Quantrill early, no fear, right after the hitters, and probably is working as fast as any starting pitcher we've seen all season long.
You know, Quantrill is not a strikeout pitcher. Only 23 strikeouts in 46 innings, so less than half a strikeout per inning, which is very unusual these days. But you know what? You got 3 Gold Gloves on that field with Jimenez, Kwan, and Straw. Why would you want to strike people out? Brett Baty at the plate, and he pulls one down the right field line. That's a fair ball, and it'll go into the corner. The Mets have their first hit. Baty racing for second. He'll pull in there with a 1-out double. 7th extra base hit for Baty, and his 4th double.
Well, first breaking ball from Quantrill. Great job from the side. See how he stays back. And boy, right on time was Brett Baty. Down and in, where we've seen so far is really his power zone. His strength is that down and in, especially the breaking ball. He's a good breaking ball hitter for a young hitter.
So the Mets have their first base runner, and here's Starling Marte, who sat out yesterday until late in the game. He had gotten hit on the hand by a pitch 2 nights ago, and it really stung him. So he sat most of the day yesterday, but back in there today. And Marte takes a sinker out of the strike zone. That's 1-1. Marte had a really good series in Washington, but just 1 for 7 in the series against Tampa Bay. And he holds up the swing, and he stopped it in time on the sinker. 2-1.
Well, watch this motion. He's a tall, lean kid. Kicks it in with that back foot first. High leg kick and long stride to the plate. Straight over the top for Quantrill.
Swing and a miss, and it's 2-2. Well, the Indians and now the Guardians have done such a great job of nurturing starting pitching. Quantrill was sometimes starter, sometimes reliever in San Diego, and he strikes out Marte with a changeup, and that's his 3rd strikeout. But the Guardians stuck him in the rotation last year, and he made that pay off. 32 starts last year. He went 15-5 with a 3.38 ERA.
So if you're a right-handed hitter, this is what you're going to see. He is going to try to bury that sinker down and in. And if he gets behind in the count, he's going to throw a cutter away and that changeup off the the sinker down and in as well.
Mark Vientos, first pitch swinging, rolls one out to Ramirez. He goes after Baty and gets him in a rundown, and Jimenez puts on the tag. So it's a 5-4 fielder's choice to end the inning. Download the MLB Ballpark app and complete your next visit to Citi Field. Buy and manage game tickets, redeem offers, access exclusive content, and much more. 3rd inning, Ahmed Rosario up for the 2nd time. He had a base hit to center field and scored in front of Josh Naylor's home run. 4-0 Cleveland as we play the 3rd. Rosario leading off against Carrasco, who's just trying to get himself settled in, and he picks off the outside corner. 1-1. Ronnie mentioned Carrasco's velocity. Last year his average fastball velocity was 92.9. This year in his 3 starts before he got hurt, it was 91.1, so down almost 2 miles per hour. Today's been more in the 92, 93 range, which is what we saw a lot of last year. Roll down to first, and Alonso will take it himself to retire Rosario 1 away.
Remember before last season, before he had that nice year with the 15 wins, he had the operation for bone spurs, and I had that operation 3 different times. They can come back many times in your career, so you either have to deal with it by giving yourself rest or deal with the pain.
Well, Carrasco sat out a couple of weeks, then started throwing again. Got the 2 rehab starts for Binghamton. And he gets that curveball in for a strike to Ramirez. I mean, Carrasco last year was able to get great extension, and that's why his split change was so good. In 2021, when that elbow was barking, that was more problematic. So we don't know the state of that right now. Swing and a miss. There's a good changeup, and it's 1-2.
When people talk about velocity, they first go to the fastball. They don't understand that if you lose velocity, you lose spin rate. If you lose velocity, you lose sharpness on the split finger change. All of it affects everything.
1-2 coming to Ramirez, and he taps that one to the right side. McNeil hurries in, makes the flip just in time to get the hustling Ramirez. 2 out. We check in with Steve Gelb. Steve?
Guys, I was talking to Carrasco yesterday about the difference between this bone spur and the ones that he experienced a couple of years ago. He said 2 seasons ago he was dealing with 7 bone spurs in that elbow. So the difference this time around is that it's only 1. Doesn't make it much less painful, though. He said that it felt like there was a knife in the back of his elbow. The good news for him was that once he got that shot, said it was completely pain-free. He was able to get that extension again. You talked, Gary, about that split change. Also the slider, a big pitch that he struggles with when he can't get that full extension.
Josh Naylor pops up on a first pitch curveball, and Beatty retreats and grabs it in a much better inning for Carlos Carrasco. Gets him 1-2-3 on 9 pitches. Mark Canha takes a fastball for a strike as we start the bottom of the 3rd. Canha went 0 for 5 in the series against Tampa Bay, and he pulls one on the ground foul, and it's 0-2. Francisco Alvarez on deck, and then Brandon Nimmo 8-9-1 in the order against Cal Quantrill, who gave up a double to Brett Beatty in the 2nd. It's been the Mets' only base runner thus far. Quantrill misses down with the slider, and it's 1-2. Cal Quantrill, first-round pick by the Padres out of Stanford in 2016. He was the 8th overall pick in that draft. And a high changeup gets Canha for the first out.
Last inning we saw Ramirez, who I think is one of the most underrated players in the game, hustling to first base just ahead of the play. Nice play by McNeil. And last year in spring training, Terry Francona called him in, said, listen, I don't know what kind of team we're going to have, but we're young. We're going to have Quan in left field. They will play hard if you play hard. I need you to show the way. And he did.
It's your T-Mobile coverage cam. Ramirez is one of the best players in baseball, and that's just another way in which he is one of the best players. And by the way, Tito, one of the best managers in the game.
Yes, he is.
2-0 to Francisco Alvarez. I mean, Ramirez may have flown under the radar at some point in his career, but everybody who plays against the Guardians knows. And a fastball strike to Alvarez, 2-1. Alvarez didn't play yesterday, came off his 3-run homer that tied the game in the 9th inning on Wednesday night. And he fouls off that cutter, and it's 2-2. Cleveland surprised everybody last year. Nobody really pegged them as a contender going into last season, but they wound up winning 92 games and winning their division. Full count to Alvarez.
Well, Straw was steady, came over from the Astros in center field. Quan ended up being a Rookie of the Year candidate. They didn't know that in spring training.
And Jimenez and Rosario both took a big step forward. That was huge for them as well. Inside, and Alvarez gets hit on the arm. Would have been ball 4 anyway, but he'll take his base on the Mets' 27th batter hit this year. Most in the National League.
Well, he's trying to come in with that 2-seamer and didn't start it in the right place, and right off that protective pad. Does he have one there? No, he doesn't.
I don't think so.
Just muscle.
It's got the camo sleeves. So the Mets have a 1-out base runner. Here's Brandon Nimmo, who struck out his first time up. And he takes the fastball away for ball 1. high strike with the cutter. It's 1-1. Well, there's the American League Central last year. The Twins were expected to be the champs. The White Sox were expected to contend, and the Guardians came out of nowhere and blew the division away. Nimmo lifts one out to left, and Kwan eases back, catches it a step on the warning track. Back to first goes Alvarez, 2 out.
Well, you know, with the Guardians, what they're going to get is pretty good starting pitching every night, and sometimes exceptional starting pitching, led by Shane Bieber. He'll pitch in this series, right, Gary?
Yeah, he's going to go Sunday night against Verlander, matchup of Cy Young Award winners. Speaking of Justin Verlander, you had a nice conversation with Justin today.
It was delightful. We sat down for about a half hour, and you know, he's played long enough to almost be an historian of what has transpired in the game the last 10-12 years, and boy, he gave it all to us.
We will play that interview, at least a big chunk of it, during our coverage tomorrow. Lindor hit a soft liner to short his first time up. Alvarez at first with 2 out. He fouls that one away. We were talking about the Cleveland franchise and how they have nurtured pitching. You know, they've had more Cy Youngs this century than any other team. Corey Kluber won 2. Cliff Lee, CC Sabathia, Shane Bieber. And Lindor taps that one slowly. Jimenez comes in on it and makes the quick toss and gets Lindor to end the inning. 4-0 Guardians after 3. Well, we mentioned that Ronnie sat down with Justin Verlander before the game today. We'll show you more of that interview tomorrow, but here's a little taste just to give you an idea of what to expect from JV.
What do you want your teammates to say about you when it's all done and you've retired, and someone asks them about Justin Verlander? What did he mean to you?
I mean, I think I want to be somebody who leads by example. I want to be somebody who does things the right way, is helpful to my teammates, and more importantly, can be a leader. Not necessarily a leader of the team. To me, that's usually a position player or starting pitchers. You know, we're one every 5 days. But somebody who every person I played with would say, we want that guy on the mound any day, all day. And, you know, bullpen, save the bullpen, and just all the little things that we can do as starting pitchers to help the team. And then on the other 4 days, you know, somebody that my teammates can say they enjoyed being around and, you know, liked having on their team.
Well, those are wise words. Josh Bell grounds one right at McNeil. And so Carrasco starting to get into a groove, gets the first out of the 4th.
Well, just about that little snippet, that was at the very end. And, you know, he couldn't have been more accommodating, and his words were amazing just to listen to. But as soon as we were done, the intensity that he still has grinding for his next start was palpable. You could just feel it. It's like, okay, I took care of this. Now I got to take care of business. And he was off to do his thing. It was, I don't know, reminded me of how things used to be many moons ago.
Who pitched Sunday night in the final game of this series. Andres Jimenez struck out his first time up. Carrasco's now retired 5 straight, all on the infield. And a swing and a miss at a high fastball, and that appears to be the plan of attack for Carrasco against Jimenez.
You know, watching Jimenez in the postseason, the New York Yankees pitching staff really exploited, especially inside and up, on Jimenez.
And a comebacker, and Carrasco with a nice extension to get it, and throws out Jimenez, 2 out.
You know, I was thinking as Carrasco makes this play, and a comebacker probably would have been an out with Lindor playing shaded up the middle, but still a nice play. To put Carrasco's time in Cleveland in perspective, his 1,305 strikeouts is 4th all time behind Bob Feller, Sudden Sam McDowell, and Corey Kluber.
Won 88 games, lost 73 in those 11 years, 3.77 ERA, and not incidentally also went through cancer.
That's right.
and then recovered and came back and was the comeback player of the year. Myles Straw barely missed a home run his last time up, and to put that in perspective, since the start of 2022, nobody has more at bats without a home run than Myles Straw. 670 at bats without a home run. Second on the list, Nicky Lopez of the Royals, 491. So it's not even close. Carrasco ahead of Straw, 0-2. And that's up and away, 1-2.
Talking about no home runs, Gary, I just did a game on Tuesday. Jose Abreu has not hit a home run for the Houston Astros.
It's been a big disappointment so far for the Astros after all those productive years in Chicago. Swing and a miss. Good changeup by Carrasco to strike out Straw. That's his second strikeout. 7 straight retired by Carrasco. Now the Mets look for some offense. We go to the bottom of the 4th inning. Mets down 4-0. Cal Quantrill's allowed just 1 hit over the first 3 innings. Jeff McNeil will lead off against Quantrill in the 4th. Jeff was an unhappy customer after being called out on strikes in the 1st by the home plate umpire Will Little. And a cutter misses low and in from Quantrill, ball 1. McNeil, Alonso, and Beatty to try and get something going for New York. And McNeil punches one out to center, and there's Straw playing shallow and making the grab, 1 out. Beating the pressure, brought to you by Coors Light. Cal Quantrill, no decision his last time out against the Angels, but the previous start against Minnesota, 7 scoreless innings, 1 hit.
You know, I said before, the Guardians are 3-0 and 20 1/3 innings. That's a lot of work. Put 1 on the list there.
So before the game, we asked around the booth and wondered what the over-under was on the number of times that Ronnie and I referred to the Guardians by their previous name.
Yes.
I think I have one, and I think that was your first.
That was definitely my first.
Okay. So just for history's sake, the Cleveland franchise started in 1901, and the first year of the franchise they were known as the Cleveland Blues. Alonso drives one to deep center. Straw goes back onto the warning track and reels it in. Alonso making a bid for a 4th straight game with a home run, but he chose the wrong part of the ballpark and the wrong center fielder. 2 out.
Pete's just gotten to the point that if he makes contact and gets it in the air, you'd think it's going. But Straw made it look easy. I think that ball just beat him. Caught it a little deep and not out in front.
So 2 out and nobody on. And now Beatty, who has the only Met hit, a double to the right field corner. So they were the Blues the first year. Second year in 1902, they were the Broncos. And then for the next decade or so, they were known as the Naps, named after their best player, Napoleon Lajoie, Hall of Famer. They didn't become the Indians until 1915.
Were they ever the Spiders during that time?
That was a different
that's
franchise.
A different franchise.
Yeah.
Okay.
That was the franchise that lost 136 games as a homeless team in, I think it was 1899. Cleveland franchise currently has the longest World Series drought. They took over that title when they lost the World Series to the Cubs. 1948, the last time the Cleveland Indians won the World Series. 2-2 coming to Beatty, and a tapper to the right side. Jimenez comes in to get it, and it's dropped at first base by Bell. It's going to be a close play because Jimenez took his time, and then Bell just flat out dropped the throw.
Well, Bell said, "My bad," and I agree with him. I mean, that ball couldn't have been more perfectly thrown, and just a miss. Nothing else you can say.
You know, we saw Josh Bell improve as a glove at first base during his time in Washington, but every once in a while, prone to that kind of a play. It's his second error of the year. Starling Marte struck out his first time up. Every time we see a play like that made, it's a reminder of how good the Mets infield defense has been this year. Mets are in the top 3 in baseball in turning ground balls into outs, according to Sports Info Solutions and their metrics. They do defensive runs saved. The Mets are a middle of the pack team overall in defensive runs saved, but turning ground balls into outs, the Rays are number 1 and the Mets are just a shade behind them at number 3. Lindor's had a lot to do with that. He has really been able to shine with the new no shift rules. 1-2 to Marte, and the breaking ball low and away, 2-2.
And the entire time Pete has been here, we've never seen him have a mistake like that.
Beatty at first with 2 down, 2-2 to Marte. And Starling takes inside. That clipped him. So the second batter that Quantrill has hit in the last 2 innings, and the Mets have 2 men on for Vientos.
That's the changeup that rode in and hits him right in the wrist, the bottom of the wrist.
Got hit on the right hand 2 nights ago, that time right on the wristband.
Quantrill's aghast that that ball would hit him, or that Marte wasn't able to get out of the way.
Quantrill had hit only 2 batters all season before tonight. Now he's hit a couple in this game, and a chance for Vientos, who swung at the first pitch and hit into a fielder's choice his first time up. Vientos DHing tonight. 59 career games as a DH in the minors, 271 with 9 home runs. He pulls that one down to third, and Ramirez on the backhand races Beatty to the bag and gets there first to end the inning. An error hit batsman and 2 men left. That's a match, just 1 hit through 4. They're down 4-0. Your 4th, 5th inning recap. Mets have done very little against Cal Quantrill, who's given up just 1 hit. Carlos Carrasco had a rough first couple of innings. He's settled in, but the question is, can the Mets find the offense to come back? Will Brennan leads off in the 5th for the Guardians and takes low and in for ball 1. Brennan hit a comebacker his first time up. The rare Major League Baseball player out of Kansas State University. Think of Kansas State producing basketball players and football players, but not many baseball players. Brennan was a rookie last year, came up late in the season, played in just 11 games, but was on the postseason roster.
Yeah, he was.
And played quite a bit in their 7 postseason games. Takes the pitch low, and it's 2-1.
So he would still be a rookie this year then,
Yes.
right? Okay.
Guardians were in position to advance to the American League Championship Series. They took 2 of the first 3 from the Yankees, but you know, their offense is so predicated on making contact, multiple base runners in innings, much like the Mets were last year, and Garrett Cole and Nestor Cortez shut them down the last 2 games.
Yeah, Cole threw a gem in game 4.
In fact, their starter tonight is ball 4 to Brennan. He's on with a leadoff walk. Started tonight, Quantrill lost game 1 and game 4 against Cole.
And then the Guardians had to start Aaron Savali in game 5, and he hadn't pitched a lot down the stretch.
Savali's still trying to work his way back from an oblique injury. That's a problem, and even more so for Cleveland. Tristan McKenzie has been out with a shoulder injury. Those 2 pitchers are both out on rehab, though, and should be back fairly soon. Cam Gallagher drove in a run with a base hit his first time up. Gallagher went 0 for 34, and now he's had hits in his last 2 at bats. His last at bat yesterday and his first one today. And Carrasco gets a fastball on the outside corner.
Watch Gallagher's eyes on this hit by pitch as he follows the ball all the way to the wrist of Marte. And as all catchers, right before they catch it, they close their eyes.
They say keep your eye on the ball. It's hard to do that when your eyes are closed.
It's just a natural physical reaction. They track it, and then right before they snatch it, they blink.
Nobody does that more noticeably than Tomas Nido. There goes the runner, and Alvarez couldn't make the transfer. So Brennan has a stolen base, his 4th of the year. 45th stolen base for the Guardians, who are second in the American League.
What has happened with the stolen base is that it's made catchers, especially the young catchers, try to rush their throws. And in that time, they've lost control many times.
And a good breaking ball by Carrasco to strike out Gallagher. That's his third strikeout, the first out of the inning.
In fact, the Rockies were talking about their catcher, Diaz, saying that he took his time because it's so hard to throw out runners. He was taking his time and making an accurate throw, and that's why he has the best mark so far.
Stephen Kwan, who's popped up and grounded into a double play, and he takes a backdoor curveball outside for ball one. Well, if you look at Alvarez's pop times, he's been very quick getting the ball out and getting it down to second, but there have been a number of times just like that where he's bobbled the transfer in his haste.
Yeah, anything I think under 2, Gary, is good, and I think he's had many 1.9s.
It's JT Realmuto territory. I mean, there's no question that Alvarez's defense has been better than advertised. Ground ball, Lindor right there. Runner will advance. That's the second out. Brennan to third as Kwan grounds out. 2 away.
Now, for a veteran pitcher like Carrasco, if that first at bat by Rosario taught you anything, first pitch, you have to be very careful. Make your quality pitch because he wants to swing the bat, especially with a runner on base.
Ahmed had to base it up the middle on the first pitch to score a run in the first inning. And a swing and a miss at a first pitch changeup, 0-1. Rosario 1 for 2, grounded out his last time up. Hit 283 last year, 250 this year. 268 in his 4 years as a Met. So last year was, you know, you look at the Mets last year, you look at the Guardians last year, and it was, for both teams, a year in which so many good things went right. And Rosario and Jimenez were 2 of those. 0-2 coming. And he just got a piece of that changeup to stay in the at bat.
You know, we saw a good shot and he repeated it there, and many times we saw when Rosario's in the Mets uniform. He never has that foundation on his back foot. That back foot goes flying, and he kind of is a front foot hitter, always has been.
Worked for Roberto Clemente.
Yes, it's it.
Brennan at third with 2 out, a 2-strike count to Rosario, and he just got a piece of that one. Ahmed is now 27 years old. He tried him out in center field in Cleveland when he first got there. Didn't work out so well. The Mets had talked about moving him to center field various times over his tenure in New York. And a good block by Alvarez. That saved a run.
Boy, good job by the youngster. Not even close with that split change. And he got over there and kind of closed that triangle hole that he had between his arm and his chest protector and his glove just in time.
Didn't even leave the rebound. See last night where Florida and Carolina played 4 overtimes. It's like skating in mud at the end. 1-2 coming. That's line to left field. Canha will have to play it on a hop base hit. That'll bring in Brennan. Rosario stops at first with an RBI single. Ahmed's second hit of the night. And the Guardians increase their lead to 5-0. And Jeremy Hefner will pay a visit to Carrasco.
Well, Carrasco just hasn't been able to make that pitch when he's needed it. That was just a spinner in the middle of the plate. He's trying to throw it down and away and make Rosario chase it.
Don't miss a single Mets moment with the SNY app. Scan the code and download today. Dominic Leone is up in the Mets bullpen. Well, Carrasco threw 52 pitches in his last rehab start. He's already up to 73 today. And I think you'd characterize this as, obviously he had a bad first inning, but since then his fastball and his changeup have been okay, but the slider just hasn't been there. So here's Jose Ramirez, who's walked and grounded out. Rosario at first, a stolen base threat. He's got 7 this year without being caught. Ramirez last year, 29 home runs, 126 runs driven in. 44 doubles last year, which led the American League.
Well, like you said, every year he's in the MVP talk.
Finished 4th in the balloting last year. And Ramirez, it's a shot down the line that'll hook and go foul, but not by much. That hit all the way to the back of the second deck.
He stayed in the box, so I figured it was way foul. Pound for pound, maybe one of the strongest players in the game.
I don't know how much he weighs, but he's strong. He pulls that one foul. I mean, you know, the guy behind him, Josh Naylor, has, you know, more of a power hitter's physique. You know, that. Ramirez, he always has that little sneer on his face, like he's ready to take your lungs out. 2 balls, 2 strikes.
He usually does.
Rip your lungs out, Jim. Like to meet his tailor. And the splitter low and away, and it's 3-2 to Ramirez. This is going to be the last batter for Cookie, no matter what happens here. I think these are more pitches than they intended to allow him to throw, but that'll help him next time out. Next start will probably be at Wrigley Field. Rosario runs, and the 3-2 is fouled off from a 3-2 curveball. Let's play these 3 with Cleveland over the weekend. 4 o'clock game tomorrow, 7 o'clock Sunday night game on ESPN, and then road trip starts at Wrigley Field Tuesday night. 3 night games in Chicago, and then 3 games at Coors Field in Denver. 7th pitch of the at bat coming to Ramirez. And he pulls that one to the right side, and McNeil is there to grab it. And that retires the side. The Guardians tack on a run. They lead 5-0 halfway through.
Time now for the live same game parlay presented by PointsBet. If you think the Mets are going to come back and win this one, and the total runs are going to be over 11.5, that's going off at plus 850 right now as we head to the bottom of the 5th inning. Mark Canha leading things off. And guys, in Canha's last start, he finally again got hit by a pitch. He had gone 30 consecutive games without getting hit by a pitch, which, just to put it into context, last season only went 14 at his peak of not getting beaned. And I was talking to Mark about it today, and he goes, yeah, I was wondering what the heck was going on, and when I got hit by a pitch, it felt pretty good. Felt pretty good. He's someone that actually has made it a big part of his game, and so to get on base by any means necessary, he was pretty happy about it.
Well, he did lean into that one on Wednesday night. It's that one off the pitcher Quantrill, who scrambles after it, and his throw to first beats Canha there. Quantrill's a little shaken after taking that shot, but he recovered in time to get the out. He waves the trainer away, says, sit down.
It doesn't mean that it doesn't smart, because you could tell he got hit real good with a one-hopper right off the back of the right leg. I mean, real fine play to get to it and throw a strike. Bare hand, gets over to Josh Bell, and just a step.
Looks like it got him right in the calf. 97 miles an hour off the bat. Here's Alvarez. Francisco Alvarez takes outside ball 1. He was hit by a pitch his first time up. So the Mets have a change in their catching situation today. Gary Sanchez joined the team. He had an opt-out after 10 days playing in Syracuse, was hitting the ball well, and the Mets had to decide either call him up or let him go somewhere else after Sanchez had opted out earlier this year with the Giants. and they decide to call him up.
Yeah.
Now, how that affects the Mets catching situation going forward is anybody's guess. Here's Gary, who is in the clubhouse today, happy to be here, happy to be back in New York after a tour in Minnesota. I mean, they have Nido, who is out on rehab now. They've got Narvaez, who should be back in a few weeks. They have Michael Perez, who was here for a week. They've got their 21-year-old prospect catcher playing most of the time right now. So it's going to be interesting to see how those parts fit.
Yes.
One day at a time, I guess. That's what Buck always preaches. Said I can only worry about the 26 who are here right now.
But he's got a lot of parts he'd like to play who are used to playing every day. I think that's the issue. And Sanchez 8 for 26 down in AAA for the Mets. 9 bases on balls in 8 games.
Alvarez clubs one to deep left field, and forget that. Francisco Alvarez strikes again. He homers for the 2nd straight game, his 5th of the year, to get the Mets on the board. So Alvarez showing off the power again. 3-run homer Wednesday night that tied the game, and now he gets the Mets' first run of this game with a well-struck home run.
It's the two-seamer that he runs in, but it never did have any run on it. Quick bat from Alvarez, and he's starting to heat up with the long ball.
It's 5 home runs and 79 at bats. That's pretty good pace.
Yep.
That's a Gary Sanchez kind of a home run pace. Back when Sanchez was hitting 30 a year. 0-1 to Nimmo, and he swings at the high fastball, and it's 0-2.
I mean, the ball just stayed true inside, and after all the pitches he's faced inside, including the one hit by pitch, he was ready.
And Nimmo goes down on another high fastball. Brandon's struggling right now, just 1 for his last 20. 2nd time he struck out tonight. 5 Ks for Quantrill.
I think when you see Brandon swinging at pitches outside the strike zone is a real indication that he's just not seeing it like he usually does.
So now Francisco Lindor, who's 0 for 2. And he takes a curveball outside for ball 1. That home run means City will donate $2,000 to No Kid Hungry to help fight childhood hunger. Now more than ever, kids across America need our help. And the cutter in for a strike, and it's 1-1.
How that leg feels. Quantrill has really slowed it down a bit in between pitches.
He gave up the home run right after getting struck. And the fastball away, 2-1. Well, the Mets went, what was it, 56 innings without a home run. Now they've hit 8 in their last 4 games. They needed that home run power against the Rays.
Well, really big reaction when he hits the home run. Why not?
Not quite the bat flip he had Wednesday night. That thing sailed about 30 feet in the air.
Well, folks will say, well, it's 5-0. What is it? It means something to him. He's busting it, playing hard and trying to take good at bats.
3-2 to Lindor. McNeil would be next. Lindor spends his time out. Quantrill back with a 3-2. And Lindor hits that one well to left center. Back goes the center fielder Strawn. It's off the wall. Lindor has to race for second base. Slides in, and he's safe as the ball gets away briefly from Jimenez. So Lindor didn't miss a home run by much. His 15th double of the year.
Well, you see the load, the timing of it, and the swing by Lindor. Hits it high off the wall, and his season continues. When he puts the ball in play and he gets a hit, it's usually for extra bases.
21st extra base hit of his 40 hits. So more than half. Came into the day 6th in the league in extra base hits despite a relatively low batting average. So a runner in scoring position for McNeil. And what do we have?
He's telling him he's got to make eye contact with McNeil. Make eye contact before you come to a stretch.
That's the Max Scherzer rule.
I was taught as a kid, never make eye contact with a hitter. You'd have to change everything.
You have to shake hands too.
Come on, let's not go that far.
McNeil was struck out and flied out 0 for 2. And Jeff takes changeup outside for ball 1. So Quantrill, who had been sailing along, gave up the hard hit ball to Canha that hit off his leg, and since then he's given up a home run and a double, bracketing the strikeout of Nimmo. And that's up and away. Now it's 2-0 to McNeil with Alonso looming on deck.
Whenever you get hit with a ball and you get hit in a bad spot, especially in your legs, it feels all right for a couple of pitches, and then it starts to cramp up a little bit, and then it gets real sore. And it's hard enough to pitch than to think of other stuff. So got him right behind the knee.
So like the lower hamstring.
Yes.
Yeah, I could see where that would really start to ache. And, you know, he waved the trainer away initially, but, you know, sometimes trainers know better than players.
You are, you know, you spend your whole life trying to be as macho as you can, and sometimes
what's the old saying? What's the old saying? You can't make the club in the tub.
That's right. I've been with plenty of players that made the club in the tub.
Well, you get in the tub after you make the club.
That's right.
Quantrill behind on McNeil, 2-0. And Jeff fouls away the fastball, 2-1.
Another good swing by a Mets hitter.
Lindor at second and 2 out. McNeil pops one foul, backing out of play on the cutter, 2-2. Braves lead the Mariners 1-0 in the 5th. The first ever major league game where both starting pitchers were named Bryce.
Oh, really?
Bryce Elder, Bryce Miller. Braves got a run in the first, and that's been it so far. Miller has been unbelievable to start his career.
Historically, he's doing things that have never been done.
Quantrill's 2-2. And McNeil able to waste away that splitter. Quantrill, as Ronnie noted, threw 107 pitches in 6 innings in his last start against the Angels. His last Saturday, so he's had one extra day. Up to 84 pitches in the 5th inning now. 24 already in this inning. 2-2 coming.
And it's lined toward the middle, base hit. Around third comes Lindor. He'll come in to score. Jeff McNeil with a 2-out RBI hit. The Mets have played it a couple here in the 5th. It's now 5-2 Cleveland.
Well, you saw it in the Tampa Bay series. This never say die offense of the Mets now making their comeback as Carl Willis, pitching coach, comes out. Let's take a look at the swing. Fought off a real tough pitch and then caught a high changeup. And just stayed level on that high pitch. Good contact. Served it into center field. And of course Lindor at second with 2 outs on the run and scores easy. So Quantrill certainly has not been the same since Canha hit him with the comebacker.
4 at bats since that. He's given up a home run, a double, and now a single. McNeil's now hit in 6 straight games, and now Alonso will come to the plate trying to keep the good times rolling. Polar bear in hand. Pete hit one to the warning track in center field that Straw ran down his last time up.
You know, I would think that this is a very precarious place for Quantrill to be, because Pete has changed the game plan a little against the Tampa Bay Rays. Balls that he was not covering up in the strike zone, he is now covering. So do you pitch him down or do you pitch him up in the strike zone?
Well, the one thing you don't want to do is hang a breaking ball to him, because those don't come back.
Well, you saw Carl Willis went out there, so he wants him to crowd him with that fastball running in, trying to get the ball on the ground.
And Pete lines it right at the shortstop.
So it's dropped by Rosario, and Pete did not run, and so he is thrown out.
Well, it's a natural reaction when you see the ball going right to the fielder to stop running, and Pete did. And Rosario had time to throw him out. Mets get 2, but no more. Just an unfortunate situation for Pete Alonso.
Well, it's a ball you know that Rosario will catch 99 times or 100. He doesn't. He's disappointed because he knows it's going to be caught. And when it's not, then you get thrown out at first, and everyone is asking themselves, why is he not running? It's a natural reaction by any hitter.
I mean, the play appears to be over.
It's over, but it's not over.
No. And Pete, he knows. Dominic Leone comes out of the bullpen for New York after 5 innings from Carlos Carrasco. Josh Naylor, who homered in the first inning to get the Guardians off to a fast start, takes ball 1 from Leone.
Leone pitched a couple days ago against the Tampa Bay Rays, gave up a home run.
It was against Jose Siri, the number 9 hitter. That's pulled foul. 1-1 to Naylor, who grew up in Mississauga, Ontario.
Joey Votto from Mississauga.
Home of a lot of hockey players. John Tavares, formerly of the Islanders, now of the Maple Leafs.
If you're not, it's near Pearson Airport in Toronto.
In other words, it's right outside Toronto.
Yeah.
1-2 to Naylor. So Carrasco went 5, allowed 5 runs, 5 hits, 2 walks, 3 strikeouts, a home run. Sounds like a terrible outing, and obviously wasn't a good one, but at least it got him back on the mound, and he had a stretch where he was hitting with his pitches. Now the question is what happens next. That's lined into right field, and Naylor's got a base hit. So Naylor's second hit of the day. I mean, you encouraged from what you saw?
Yeah, that's a good question. I'm encouraged by the velocity. I was encouraged that he threw some real good split change, but I think in between starts he'll work on that slider. His breaking ball was not as sharp.
It was Josh Bell. Well, here's the larger issue for the Mets, and this is what has to change, and perhaps we're on the verge of seeing a change with Scherzer and Verlander and Carrasco now healthy. And by the way, the other good news today, Jose Quintana cleared to start getting himself ramped up when his bone scan came back clear. Mets are now in their 46th game, 32 of the 46. Mets have gotten 5 innings or less from their starting pitcher. That's 70% of the games the starter's not able to go beyond 5.
And there's collateral damage from that, right? It's hard to get on a roll as a team, and it's hard sometime down the road. It's got to affect your bullpen, I would think.
Josh Bell hits one toward the middle. That'll go through for a base hit. So back-to-back hits surrendered by Leone. Naylor and Bell aboard with nobody out.
Well, I think McNeil, rightfully so, playing a little to pull, and that ball just missed the second base umpire, Dan Mesner. Hard hit on the ground, and the Guardians have something going.
Now Andres Jimenez. Beatty will shorten up at third, and Pete will do the same at first. Jimenez has struck out and hit a comebacker 0 for 2. Fastball up and away from Leone, ball 1. Well, I think Buck Showalter does a better job than just about any other manager of not overtaxing his bullpen, even if he has to sacrifice some games to do so. Fly ball out to center, and Nimmo giving ground now and just able to reach up and make the catch. That almost turned into an adventure for Nimmo, who froze on it briefly before catching it going away. 1 out. Taking going to third is Naylor.
Well, that ball was hit right on the nose by Jimenez. That's why it had so much carry. Just wouldn't come out of the air for Nimmo, and I bet you right here he felt a little lost, but made the play. It was a good job of base running by Naylor. He stayed there and tagged up on the play.
Did the Mets throw the ball to second base? Because I think it was pretty close as to whether Naylor left early.
I was watching him. I didn't think he left early.
Doesn't look like they're going to run an appeal play. So
watch the kind of sacrifice squeeze here.
Miles Straw with great speed at the plate. Naylor, though, at third, kind of a truck horse. Bell at first does not run particularly well either. Mets have their middle infielders halfway against Straw. With a double off the wall back in the second, struck out in the fourth. And a fastball in for a strike from Leon.
Let's watch the catch. Let's watch the tag. It looks good to me.
Yeah, he reached back, made sure right before he took off. That's low and outside, 1-1. The problem here with your middle infielders is that Straw would be awfully difficult to double up. Even as a right-hand batter, you know, he's just so fast getting down the line, so you can't play back at regular double play depth.
Yeah, they were in a step and a half in the middle infield.
Rounded to short. What's Lindor going to do with it? The turn by McNeil. They got him. Double play. By shortening up, they shorten the distance, and they're able to double up the speedy Straw to get Leon through the inning. Still 5-2.
Cal Quantrill, after taking a shot off his leg in the last inning, still out there pitching in the bottom of the sixth. Gave up 3 hits and a couple of runs in that fifth inning. Brett Baty leading off in the home sixth, and he flies one out to left field. That's hit pretty deep. Back goes Quan near the wall. It's out of here.
Brett Baty goes the other way for his 4th home run of the year. And the Mets creep a little closer. It's now 5-3. The rookies with the long ball. Alvarez in the 5th. Now Baty in the 6th. And the Mets have sliced 3 runs off what was once a 5-0 deficit.
Well, the first time to have Alvarez, Baty, and Vientos in the lineup together, and 2 of them have gone deep. This one, a great shot to left field by Brett Baty.
Starling Marte flies one to center. Straw is right there waiting for it. 1 out.
See the contact. You have the stance, the contact right out. You know, he waited on that ball late, almost at the plate before he delivered that blow. And that's why he hit it to left field. That fastball from Quantrill.
Now Mark Vientos, who's hit the ball on the ground twice today. Both times into fielder's choices. Both times to the third baseman. Vientos fouls back a cutter, and it's 1-1.
Well, the Mets went through such a long period of time where they could not hit the ball out of the ballpark, but it shows you how quickly you can get back in a game when you are hitting the ball out of the ballpark.
Well, in this matchup with the Guardians, the Mets are the home run hitting team.
That's right.
They had 48 coming into the day. The Guardians only 24. Sam Hentges is up in the bullpen. 1-2 coming, and Vientos strikes out on the fastball. 6 strikeouts for Quantrill, 2 out of the inning. We check in with the studio. Chelsea Sharon is a game break brought to you by your local Honda dealers. Thanks, Chelsea. That's the battle of the Bryces. Canha hits a slow ground ball, and Rosario bobbles it, and Canha's safe at first. So Rosario, who couldn't cleanly catch Alonso's line drive in the last inning, this time bobbles the slow hit grounder by Canha, and the Mets have a 2-out base runner. That'll be scored a hit for Canha.
Well,
generous one.
Yeah, the ball didn't take a crazy bounce. It just rolled right out of the pocket. A little juggling act, and by that time.
Well, Terry Francona on his way to the mound. Francisco Alvarez will be coming up as the tying run in a game the Guardians once led 5-0. 96 pitches now for Quantrill, who has not been the same since taking that shot off his leg. And Sam Hentges will come out of the Guardians bullpen. Call to the bullpen brought to you by Nissan. Shop NissanUSA.com. Left-hander Sam Hentges on to pitch for the Guardians.
Well, he hurt his left shoulder in spring training, so he's been rehabbing for the most part. That's why he's only appeared in 3 games. He's a guy that can go multiple innings. You'll see a good high fastball and an equally good 12-6 breaking ball if he's healthy.
Interesting, though, that they're bringing in the lefty to face Alvarez in a spot where Alvarez could tie the game with a home run. He homered his last time up against Quantrill. Now Quantrill goes 5 2/3, allowed 6 hits, no walks, but he hit 2 batters, struck out 6, allowed 2 home runs, and really appeared to struggle after getting hit on the back of the leg by a Mark Canha ground ball. So here's Alvarez tying run at the plate in a 5-3 game. And gets breaking ball and hits it out to right center field. Back in the gap goes Brennan, and he runs it down to end the inning. Home run by Beatty gets the Mets closer. 5-3 Guardians. Well, Pat LaFrieda's Chop House is one of the great culinary destinations at Citi Field, and we have been privileged with a sumptuous repast. The New York strip steak with the LaFrieda steak sauce, the roasted garlic whipped potatoes, and the crispy Brussels sprouts with applewood smoked bacon, charred cipollini, sriracha honey. Wow. Sounds good, right? I bet it tastes good too. The problem with them delivering food to the booth during the game is there's this whole thing where we have to talk while the game is going on.
Well, you have to talk.
Well, Brennan leading off against Dominic Leone, who starts his 2nd inning. We also have the donuts, the ballpark brittle custard and chocolate dipping sauce. Oh my. So there's the custard and there's the dipping sauce.
Oh my goodness.
And the donuts.
New York strip, right, Russ? You got a medium rare there?
That's lined into right field, and Brennan has a base hit to start the 7th. So Leone, who gave up a leadoff hit in the 6th, does the same in the 7th. How is the steak cooked? Do we know?
I love that it's on the home plate platters.
Oh, I didn't notice that. The home plate cutting board.
Very nice.
Very nice.
Whipped potatoes. What's this right here?
See, Brussels sprouts.
And with bacon bits.
Crispy Brussels sprouts with bacon. Yeah. Here's Cam Gallagher, who's 1 for 2. He's driven in a run.
By the way, nothing against Brussels sprouts. They're very tasty. But no one ever serves just Brussels sprouts. They're always with bacon or honey or mushroom.
I happen to love Brussels sprouts.
Well, that makes total sense.
And I roast them in the oven. Very tasty. Shake them up in a bag with some salt and pepper. Drizzle them with olive oil. Shake up the bag. Put them on a cookie sheet.
You've become such a good chef since they didn't feed us for like a year and a half.
That was it. When there was nothing to do for a whole year, I learned how to cook. Well, at least a few things. There goes Brennan, and it's fouled off. I don't know if it was designed as a hit and run play, but Brennan was on the move.
It looked like it. Just happens so rarely. But Brennan is eyeballing the third base coach, Mike Sarbaugh.
Well, if any team's going to play hit and run, it's going to be this Cleveland team. They put it in play. They use their wheels. That's lined into right center. A base hit for Gallagher. Brennan will go first to third. And so the Guardians have another threat. Well, Cam Gallagher was 0 for 34 yesterday. Now he's 3 for his last 4.
Good breaking ball off the plate, but he's able to cover that pitch and gets it just off the end of the bat. That's twice now we've seen the strength of Gallagher, and Brennan, who has good speed even against the arm of Marte, sees that it's in the gap enough that Marte won't have a chance for him at third.
That's going to play the middle infielders halfway, down by 2 runs in the 7th. You got the speedy Quan at the plate. He's gone 0 for 3 today. It's hard to know how to play your infield here, but I think down by 2 runs, don't you have to be in?
I would think you'd have to be in, especially with Kwan, who hasn't hit the ball very hard. He's a guy also that's hard to double up, just like Straw, and that happened. And I don't like leaving that hole open with Kwan.
Well, the one thing you know about Kwan is he's likely to make contact. I mean, you'd love to think about a strikeout in a situation like this, but this is a guy who struck out only 60 times all last year. Stephen Nagosic, next man up in the Mets bullpen. Mets are a little short in the bullpen today. Probably no Robertson, probably no Ottavino if they were to get a lead. And a swing and a miss. A rare one for Kwan, chasing a pitch up out of the strike zone. It's 1-2. Leone gave up hits to his first 2 batters in the 6th, but got through it when the Mets doubled up the speedy Miles Straw. Now facing another speedy hitter with 1st and 3rd and nobody out. 1-2 coming. And he breaks one down. It's 2-2. Stephen Kwan out of Oregon State, 5th round pick by the Guardians in 2018. He really burst on the scene last year. Within the first couple of games of the season, they knew they had found their leadoff hitter. Two from Leone, and that's lifted foul on a high fastball. Your City probables for the remainder of the series. Max Scherzer tomorrow against Tanner Bybee, the rookie. That's a 4 o'clock game on Pix 11, and then ESPN's got the Sunday night game with Justin Verlander against Shane Bieber. Again, the 2-2 to Kwan, and it's too high, a full count. Ahmed Rosario waiting on deck.
You see a lot of hitters that have some movement to get their swing started. Stephen Kwan just the opposite, like a statue up there.
It's part of how he has so little swing and miss. Very few moving parts. Gallagher at first, not a fast runner. 3-2 with nobody out. Brennan, a fast man at 3rd. Nobody going, and it's low ball 4, and now the bases are loaded. So there's the worst possible outcome for Leone. Bases loaded, nobody out. Rosario coming up, Buck Showalter coming out, and Stephen Nagosic coming in. 5-3 Guardians in the 7th. We'll be right back. Witness the rise as a new chapter begins. Follow the story of the 2023 Jets as it unfolds on Flight 2023 Ascension. Presented by Audi. Episode 1 of the 3-part docu-series starts Saturday at 8 p.m. right here on SNY. Stephen Nagosic has stranded all 5 runners. He'll be hard-pressed in this inning to keep that perfect record going. Bases loaded, nobody out, with the 2, 3, and 4 hitters due up.
Yeah, he pitched a couple days ago against the Rays, threw 31 pitches in that appearance.
Gave up a run on 2 hits. That was on Wednesday night. Mets play the infield halfway with Rosario at the plate. Bases loaded, nobody out. And Ahmed takes a curveball in the dirt that Alvarez keeps in front of him. Ball 1. So Leone got out of a jam in the 6th, but put himself right back into trouble in the 7th. And Nagosic will try and pick him up. Rosario 2 for 3 tonight in his first game against his old team. And Ahmed gets busted up and in and stopped the swing in time. 2-0. Ryan Addison, the first base umpire, with the call. Rosario this year hitting .324 with runners in scoring position. He's already got an RBI tonight. And there's a strike, 2-1. Leone wound up going an inning plus, allowing 4 hits and a walk. No runs to date, but responsible for all 3. Corners are even with the bags. Middle infielders halfway. And Rosario takes inside, and now Nagosic behind 3-1. So it couldn't get much deeper here. The 3-1 count. You've got Jose Ramirez looming on deck. This game could get away from the Mets very quickly. Big pitch now for Nagosic. And it's lined to center field. Nimmo coming on, reaches down to make the catch, tagging at 3rd, trying to score is Brennan, and now he tries to go back, and Alvarez has him in the rundown. Beatty makes the tag, double play,
Terrific play by Nimmo. Terrible base running by Brennan, and the Mets turn 2.
Well, sometimes you got to challenge a hitter and just hope something good happens. And boy, this is the best gift you could ever be given. Challenged him with a 3-1 fastball. Rosario was all over it. Right to Nimmo. The problem with Brennan that he did not tag right away. So then he tried to hustle back to third and get started, and he could never get it started enough. And that's why he stopped.
And the Mets ran the rundown quick enough so the other runners couldn't move up.
See, he never tagged. Too late he tags, and by that time he felt like he wasn't in the right place to score. Probably wasn't, but just an ugly play when you stop halfway on a sacrifice fly.
And Mike Sarbaugh is the third base coach, and I'm not sure what information Brennan was getting from him.
There's no information there. When a ball is hit like that deep to center field, you're on your own, bro.
Boy,
just get back and take home.
What an enormous play for the Mets. What appeared to be the brink of disaster turns into just the opposite.
You are told anything in the air, you go back and tag. By the time he tagged, he was a little late. Good strong throw by Nimmo, and nice job by Alvarez to recognize, come up and meet the throw, and start the rundown.
And Gallagher had to hold at second, Kwan at first, so now 2 out and 2 on. And somewhat miraculously, for the second straight inning, the Mets have a chance to get out of a huge jam. First, they have to get through Jose Ramirez, who's walked and grounded out twice, 0 for 2. And Nogosek bounces his first breaking ball, and Alvarez stops it nicely, ball 1. Boy, Alvarez is just so active back there.
I mean, especially on these pitches that are landing before the plate. I mean, you don't expect those plays to not only be blocked, but to be blocked and kept right in front of him. No advancement.
Such a great job on that double play, coming up to get the ball and then immediately recognizing the situation and running Brennan back toward third. And Ramirez takes another curve in the dirt, and another terrific block by Alvarez.
As a catcher, you expect the big league pitcher, when he's behind 1-0, to fire you a breaking ball for a strike. That again was not even close, and to not assume anything and be ready to block that, quite a play. And now trying to settle down his pitcher to make a appropriate 2-0 pitch.
2-0 to Ramirez, and it's below the knees. 3-0. Josh Naylor, who already has a home run and a single in this game, would be next. .3-0 from Nogosek, and that's right down the middle, 3-1. Second straight 3-1 count for Nogosek. Rosario hit the ball hard, but it resulted in 2 outs. Now behind on Ramirez, 3-1. And he walked him, and the bases are loaded again. You know, crisis built on crisis. That's 4 walks by Met pitchers.
Well, remember in the first inning, Naylor got ahead of Carrasco, got a fastball 3-1, and did not miss it as the Guardians jumped out in front. The Mets can somehow get through Naylor and get through this inning with the 325-foot double play. It's got to be their game.
Naylor 2 for 3, 3 RBIs tonight, and he takes a fastball just outside for ball 1. Naylor's home run was his 7th of the year. He's driven in 29. Gallagher now at third, Kwan at second, Ramirez at first with 2 down. Nogosek having trouble throwing strikes, and Naylor wants timeout.
So that's a good timeout there by Naylor. Put the pressure on the pitcher, who's got behind Ramirez and walked him, and now behind Naylor, 1-0.
Down behind all 3 hitters he's faced. And Naylor swinging at a high cutter and comes up empty, and it's 1-1. That's we're down 5-0 in this game. They've gotten back to within 5-3. They escaped a jam in the 6th and trying to do the same in the 7th. 1-1 from Nogosek, and he misses inside with the fastball just barely, and it's 2-1.
3 pitches in this at bat. All 3 could have been strikes. Real close by little. I'm on his side. I think that ball was in.
Big pitch for Nogosek here. Doesn't want to fall behind again. 3-1.
Naylor lines one the other way for a base hit. That'll bring in Gallagher. Kwan trying to score. The throw to the plate by Canha is offline. It's a 2-run single for Josh Naylor. He has a 5 RBI night. And the Guardians wind up cashing a pair despite the bad base running. They now lead 7-3. Huge hit for Naylor to completely change the momentum of this game.
Just tempted fate too many times in the last 2 innings. Cutter away is the same pitch he saw earlier in the count that he missed, although that one was up, and this one he did not. A bullet to left field. Kwan's got plenty of speed. With 2 outs and Kwan on second base, great secondary lead, and watch him run from second. That ball was hit on the line. It's a play at home with anyone else running, but not with Kwan.
So it's now a 4-1 Cleveland lead, and here's Josh Bell, who's 1 for 3, and he takes a fastball away for ball 1. Well, after all the excitement of turning that unlikely double play, Nogosek unable to seal the deal. And that one bounces away from Alvarez. Trying to take third is Ramirez, and he'll make it safely. And behind him, Naylor moves up to second. That'll be a wild pitch charged to Nogosek, putting 2 in scoring position.
I mean, this is something you just don't see from Nogosek. I mean, just spikes that fastball straight down in the dirt, and there's no way that Alvarez can keep that in front.
Tommy Hunter to work in the Mets bullpen, but the Guardians could blow the doors off this game with a base hit here. And Bell takes a fastball that just missed, and now it's 3-0. Well, every hitter Nogosek has been behind. 17 pitches. He's only thrown 4 strikes. And he walks Bell on 4 pitches to reload the bases. And that's enough. Second walk for Nogosek. 5 tonight for mid pitchers, and Tommy Hunter will come in and try and bail him out. Pitching change. We'll be right back. Your Spectrum 1 high-speed hitting. Ahmed Rosario's first inning single, the hardest hit ball of the night. The Guardians with 3 of the top 4 hardest hit balls in this game. Not a team known for their exit velocity. Gabriel Arias will run for Josh Bell at first base, then stay in for defense. Tommy Hunter on to try and put an end to this mess in the 7th.
Well, pitched in the last game of that series in Washington, got 9 outs for the Mets at the end of that game.
3 innings. He faced 14 batters and threw 35 pitches. The Nats, needless to say, were very aggressive against him. Andres Jimenez takes inside ball 1. Jimenez 0 for 3 in this game. Struck out, hit a comebacker, and fly to center. Bases loaded, 2 out. 2 runs home in the inning. And Jimenez checks the swing, takes the cutter for a strike, and it's 1-1. Stephen Nogosek faced 4 batters. Gave up 2 walks and a single, and the one he retired was that line drive to center by Rosario, so not his best night. Jimenez carves one foul. That'll go out of play, and it's 1-2.
Well, Alvarez saved him from being a nightmare inning with his blocks.
He was charged with 1 wild pitch and threw another half dozen in the dirt that Alvarez was able to smother. Josh Naylor with the big hits tonight. 5 RBIs, second biggest RBI game of his career. He had an 8 RBI game against the White Sox last year. Hunter ahead 1-2. And Jimenez bounces one to McNeil, and that retires the side. Guardians get 2 and leave 3. They lead 7-3 in the 7th. Top of the batting order for New York as we go to the bottom of the 7th. Brandon Nimmo leads off against Sam Hentges and takes low ball 1. Gabriel Arias, who pinch ran for Bell, stays in the game at first base for the Guardians. And Hentges falls behind on Nimmo 2-0. Hentges came in to get the final out in the 6th, retiring Alvarez on a fly ball. There's Arias. Mets were down 5-0, cut it to 5-3 before the Guardians posted 2 in the top of this inning. And Nimmo takes it low. And now it's 3-0. Lindor and McNeil to follow. Cal Quantrill went 5 2/3, allowed 3 runs, 6 hits, no walks, 6 strikeouts, 96 pitches, pitcher of record on the long side. And there's a strike to Nimmo, 3-1. Mentioned that the Mets have walked more hitters than any staff in the National League. There's ball 4. The Guardians have walked fewer hitters than any staff in the American League. That's their first one of the night. Coming up tonight on Honda Sports Night after the post game, we'll preview Max Scherzer's start tomorrow. Liberty starting their season. And Jim Brown passed away today. Jim Brown retired from the National Football League when he was 30 years old. At the time that he retired, he was the greatest running back by far that the NFL had ever seen.
Yes.
Great lacrosse player during his college days at Syracuse. And when he played, he was bigger than everybody else. He was faster than everybody else, and he was stronger than everybody else. He ran around them. He ran through them. He was a force of nature. 12,000 rushing yards, and they only played a 12-game season back when Jim Brown played. I mean, there may have been better running backs since. Barry Sanders, Gale Sayers, Tony Dorsett,
Dickerson, maybe.
Eric Dickerson. I mean, there have been a lot of great running backs, but for his time against the competition he played against, nobody was more dominant.
That's toward the middle. Base hit for Lindor. Nimmo will go to second and stop there. So Francisco Lindor with his second hit of the day. And the Mets are fighting right back again.
Well, just got a little bit of relief to kind of hold the Guardians close. Just feel like this Mets offense right now just feels every night that they can come back on anyone.
Here's McNeil, who had a base hit to drive in a run in the 5th, and he'll use his timeout before the at-bat begins. James Karinchak, the right-hander, up in the bullpen for Cleveland. Mets have the first 2 men on in the 7th. Ramirez playing on the grass at third, as though McNeil might be bunting here, but that leaves a huge hole on the left side of the infield for Jeff.
No need to play there. You can maybe start there but move back as the pitch is thrown.
And McNeil takes a slider out of the strike zone. It's 1-1. Well, if McNeil can find his way on, that would get Alonso to the plate as the tying run in the 7th. And the Mets once trailed 5-0. They've been fighting uphill all night. Familiar script. 1-1. And that's below the knees. 2 balls and a strike. Two 2-1 from Hentges, and that's low, blocked by Gallagher, and it's 3-1.
Hentges usually is a strike thrower, but only his 4th appearance after coming off the IL, so he's a little rusty.
Last year, 2.8 walks per 9 innings. He was in 57 games for the Guardians last season. Nimmo at second, Lindor at first with nobody out. 3-1 to McNeil, and now what do we have?
He's saying that the pitcher didn't recognize McNeil before he was going to deliver the ball, so he went to the stretch too early.
Similar warning given earlier to Quantrill.
Well, I was a little afraid for McNeil because he's already called 1 timeout. He wouldn't have been allowed to.
Right. Clock would have run out on him. He would have gotten called a strike. 3-1 now.
And Jeff takes low, ball 4, and the bases are loaded for Alonso. So 2 walks, sandwiching a base hit by Lindor, and Terry Francona is going to make a pitching change and bring in Karinchak to face Alonso, who comes to the plate as the tying run. 7-3 Guardians in the 7th. We'll be right back. Now Pete Alonso has homered in 3 consecutive games coming into tonight. This was yesterday's home run.
I mean, this ball covered the apple. Usually see any balls up there.
James Karinchak not off to his best start, but he can strike out the world.
He can. He's the king of no contact. Last year in 39 innings pitched, only allowed 2 home runs. But this year, 18 2/3, he's given up 5 home runs.
He had the same injury last year that felled Justin Verlander this year. That teres major strain kept him out for the first half of the season. Alonso tonight has flied out twice and grounded out 0 for 3. Tying run at the plate in a 7-3 game. Bases loaded, nobody out. And Karinchak goes to the curveball on his first pitch and misses for ball 1.
Loves to flip that ball. Very animated pitcher, straight over the top with a breaking ball and high fastball.
Born in Newburgh, New York. And he tries the curve again and gets it on the corner, and it's 1-1. Alonso, we've mentioned how he has struggled early in games, but he has dominated late in games this season. Loves to hit against the bullpens. One from Karinchak. And another curveball, and that misses. 3 straight curves, and it's 2-1.
Well, he has his game plan, right?
It's wearing number 99, Karinchak. It's Turk Wendell's birthday today. Will he throw a fastball? He does, and he misses up and in, and now it's 3-1. Brett Baty on deck. Nimmo started the inning with a walk. Lindor followed with a base hit. McNeil walked, and now it's 3-1 to Alonso. And Pete flies one to right field. Back goes Brennan to the warning track at the wall. It's out of here! A game-tying grand slam from Pete Alonso. Oppo salami, and it's 7-7. Third career grand slam for Pete Alonso. He's homered in 4 straight games for the 2nd time in his career. His 71st home run at Citi Field, tying him with Lucas Duda for the Citi Field record. What a moment. All of a sudden on this homestand, the Mets have become the kings of the long ball.
The kings of the long ball to come back in games. When Pete goes, this Mets team goes. Simple as that.
As was the case on Wednesday night against the Rays. It was the kids who got it started. Alvarez homered in the 5th. Baty homered in the 6th. Alonso with a grand slam in the 7th, and the Mets have come from 5 runs down to get this game even. Now Baty, who delivered the first home run, his first career opposite field home run, that came in the 6th. And Karinchak misses high, ball 1.
Well, the ability to sit on those breaking balls and not swing at them and then get a pitch to hit. It's supposed to be up and in. It was dead central, did not try to pull it. Pete has power anywhere.
And the curveball drops in for a strike to Beatty.
Now 6 home runs given up by Karinchak this year in under 20 innings pitched.
3 runs charged to Hentges. Carrasco off the hook. Karinchak having trouble throwing strikes, and look at the reaction by Alonso. Did the full twist. It's funny how you get a feeling about games. The Mets have been poised from the moment that Alvarez hit the home run in the 5th to come back in this game. Looked like it had been short-circuited in the top of the inning on Naylor's second big hit of the game, but the starch put right back in it by the polar bear. Curveball in for a call, strike 3, and Beatty is down on strikes, and that's the first out of the inning.
You just anticipate this big man to do big things. I mean, you've got 40-year-olds jumping up and down who've seen it all.
Mets have now hit 10 home runs in their last 5 games after none in their previous 5 games. Baseball's funny, isn't it? I mean, 4 days ago, this team was dead in the water, and now all of a sudden they have loads of life. Marte's 0 for 2. He's also been hit by a pitch, and he takes a borderline strike. 0-2. Sam Hentges got a big out to end the 6th, but could not get an out in the 7th. And Marte down on the high fastball, so back-to-back strikeouts for Karinchak after giving up the home run. 2 out.
You know, the fungibility of relief pitchers from year to year. Karinchak was probably one of the most important pieces in that bullpen. Yeoman's work, and here he's gotten off to an awful start for the Guardians.
Here's Mark Vientos, is 0 for 3 in his 2nd start of the season. And he takes a curveball just off the plate for ball 1. Vientos twice hit into fielder's choices, and then he struck out. Weren't sure if Adam Ottavino would be available tonight, but there he is, getting ready in the Mets bullpen to pitch the top of the 8th. Vientos tries to hold it. He stopped it in time on the curve. 2-0. Guardians don't play a lot of these high-scoring games. This is not their thing. Taken high, and it's 3-0. And they have themselves a 4-run lead. They took Josh Bell out for a better defensive player. Taking all the way, and it's a strike, 3-1. So Cal Quantrill, who had been pitcher of record on the long side, will now get a no decision tonight. Mets have scored 7 runs in the last 3 innings. 3-1 now to Vientos, and the curveball up and in for ball 4, and the inning continues. 3rd walk issued by the Guardians tonight, all in this inning. 2 by Hentges, and now 1 by Karinchak.
You know, the Mets did not play well in that series against Washington. They're coming home against the Tampa Bay Rays. And you know, the most important part when you're in a team that's struggling, how do you win today? And that's kind of where they've been in the last 4 days.
Here's Marcano, 1 for 3 tonight. Had an infield hit his last time up, and checking on Vientos, who's not really much of a stolen base threat.
If you got to score 8 tonight, that's what it takes. If you got to throw 7 shutout innings tomorrow, whatever it takes until you get hot.
And Cannon takes a curveball. Are you shocked by the number of curveballs Karinchak's thrown?
I am shocked, and I think part of it is what we were talking about and saying how many home runs he's given up. He's trying to maybe change the game plan because of his success last year.
And Neil De Los Santos up in the Cleveland bullpen now. They've already used 2 relievers in this inning. And that curveball's outside. It's 1-1. Canha, the 8th man up in the inning. Francisco Alvarez would be next. And it gives you an idea how long this lineup is right now, right? With the addition of Vientos and Alvarez, all of a sudden 1 through 9, the Mets are a much more formidable group. And Canha takes that curveball for a strike, and it's 1-2. Congratulations tonight, City Community Home Runs fan of the game, Jeff, who as of now has won a meet and greet with Pete Alonso, a $100 gift card, a Mets autograph, a Mets prize pack, and entry into the grand prize drawing. Don't forget to enter the sweepstakes, and if you donate to No Kid Hungry, you can receive up to 50 additional entries. Fortunately, Canha called timeout, which gave me time to read all that.
Well, that's the most important.
Karinchak ahead on Canha, 1-2. Vientos at first with 2 down. And Canha with the half swing. Did he go? He went around strike 3. Inning over. Karinchak struck out 3, but along the way gave up the grand slam to Alonso to tie the game. It's 7-7 after 7. Well, the Mets were down 5-0 in this game. They got within 5-3, and then some really clutch defense kept them close.
Yeah, 4 big outs with Myles Straw running with so much speed. They turned that double play, and the most unlikely of double plays. This bullet to center field did not turn into a sacrifice fly. Instead, that base running by Will Brennan turns it into a double play rundown.
Guardians wound up getting 2 runs in that inning, but it could have been a whole lot more. Now Adam Ottavino comes on to pitch the 8th. Ottavino working for the 3rd time in the last 4 days.
Well, we've seen him have some up and down appearances when he's worked this often. They need him tonight, though.
Had a rough one night before last. Gave up a 2-run homer to Brendan Loud. They stole 3 bases against him. He hit a batter. It was kind of a mess for Ottavino after a good outing on Tuesday night. Myles Straw leading off, lower 3rd of the order for the Guardians in the 8th. Straw is 1 for 3, a double back in the 2nd. And he takes a slider for a strike, and it's 1-2. Will Brennan on deck, and then Cam Gallagher. The Guardians 7 runs and 10 hits. The Mets 7 runs and 8 hits. What a wild affair this has been. We're now in the 8th. Ottavino, the 5th Met pitcher of the night. And the fastball just missed away. 2-2. Carlos Carrasco went 5 in his return from the injured list, gave up 5 runs, 5 hits. Dominic Leone charged with 2 runs in his inning plus. Stephen Nagosic 2 innings in his 2/3 of an inning, gave up 2 runs. And then Tommy Hunter came in to get the final out with the bases loaded in the 7th. And don't forget about that if the Mets come back and win the game. One enormous out for Hunter, getting Jimenez to ground out with the bases loaded. And then Alonso hit the grand slam to get the Mets even. 2-2 coming to Straw. And he pops one up, shallow center. McNeil out, Nimmo on, and Nimmo there to make the catch. McNeil was fully invested in going out and catching that ball over his shoulder if Nimmo hadn't gotten there.
Well, you mentioned it before. Not a lot of power from Straw, so unusually shorter play for Nimmo, who's playing shallower in center field.
So 1 out. Here's Will Brennan, who would love to atone for his base running boo-boo in the 7th.
Beware of the player that makes a bonehead play in previous innings. He is locked in for his next at bat to make up for it, as you said.
Brennan's got a walk and a single in this game. He scored a run. He's stolen a base. All the running that this Cleveland team does really behooves Ottavino to keep the bases clear. Among all the Mets pitchers, nobody has more trouble controlling the running game than Ottavino. He was right in the middle of that 7 stolen base game for the Rays 2 nights ago. And Alvarez had a dead sprint out to talk to his pitcher.
Well, Ottavino shook him off 3 different times. So the hustle and energy behind the plate of Alvarez.
Well, that's so important that you call time and go out to the mound at the right time to save your pitcher from a pitch clock violation. So those stolen base numbers against Ottavino. 0-1 to Brennan, and it's hit back toward the box, and Lindor sweeps up and throws out the speedy Brennan. 2 out. Good thing that Ottavino did not make contact with that ball, because Lindor had him played perfectly. 2 out. Angel De Los Santos, who was up in the last inning, gets up again in the Guardians bullpen. So Ottavino with a chance for a 1-2-3 inning, facing Cam Gallagher, who's already got 2 hits in this game. And Gallagher pounds that sinker into the ground, foul. 0-1. Cam Gallagher from Lancaster, PA, where the Amish live. Horse and buggy country. That's where Travis Jankowski is from. By the way, Jankowski was playing great for Texas before he got hurt again.
Yeah.
It's been the story of his whole career. But he was a breath of fresh air for the Mets early last season. Gallagher spent 6 years with the Kansas City Royals, his first experience in any other organization this year. And he takes a slider off the plate. 2-1. He's never had a 3-hit game. He's got a chance for 1 tonight. Well, Braves broke through after they were held in check by Bryce Miller for most of the night. There's a call strike, and it's 2-2. Two from Ottavino to Gallagher, and the slider's fouled off. Still 2-2.
So you can see that Gallagher, he's had a couple of base hits, but 1 base hit on a pitch away. He covered that slider again by Ottavino. So more vulnerable inside with 2 strikes than away.
Trevor Stephan is up alongside De Los Santos, and he fouled back that slider. Still 2-2. That's a big scoreboard. Seventh pitch of the at bat coming from Ottavino. Just away, but maybe he'd get the call on that sinker coming back. But now it's a full count.
It's more true. That one didn't come back as much. I thought it was off the plate. Let's see if Little was correct. He was.
Stephen Kwan would be next. 3-2 coming to Gallagher. And he grounds it weakly. Lindor comes in, should have time, and throws out Gallagher. Side retired. 1-2-3, 8th inning for Adam Ottavino. Alvarez to lead off in the bottom of the 8th. The road ahead presented by your Tri-State Cadillac dealers. 4 o'clock start on Pix 11 tomorrow. ESPN takes the reins Sunday night. We're back on SNY Tuesday night from Wrigley Field. 3-night games in Chicago, and then 3 games in Colorado before the Mets come home to play the Phillies. And a former Philly, Angel De Los Santos, on to pitch for the Guardians.
Well, a big part of that bullpen last year for Cleveland. You can see so far this year he's continued where he left off. Lots of strikeouts. Only 1 home run allowed.
Francisco Alvarez got the Mets comeback started with a home run in the 5th inning, his 5th of the year. And Alvarez swings and misses at a first pitch slider. 0-1. Well, David Robertson, we did not expect to see tonight. Robertson has been used the last 2 days, but he is up and ready for the 9th. Slider in for a strike, and it's 0-2 to Alvarez.
This bullpen has been awfully courageous for the Mets. They always make the call or make the bell.
We've talked often about how Buck does not like using guys back-to-back days. He did it less than any other manager in the majors last year. But because the starters have not gone deep into games this year, he's been forced to do it a little bit more. And in Robertson's case, looks like he's going to get a 3rd straight day. 1-2 to Alvarez, and he lays off the slider, and it's 2-2. Nimmo on deck, Lindor behind him. Mets scored 4 runs in the 7th on one big swing from Alonso. Now trying to get it restarted here in the 8th, tied at 7. 2-2 coming. And Alvarez bounces one down to third. Ramirez plays the easy hop. And the throw across the diamond gets Alvarez by a stride, one away. So 1 out and nobody on now. Brandon Nimmo. Nimmo got the 7th inning started for the Mets with a walk. Nimmo has not been walking as much lately. Has just 1 hit in his last 20 at bats as well. Ramirez in on the grass at third against Nimmo. And he flies one foul. This is something we saw the Rays do as well against hitters who don't generally bunt. They've been playing the third baseman in early in counts. And that leaves that left side open for a guy like Nimmo who can slash it by you. Trying to do just that, but he fouled it back, and it's 0-2.
You can tell his approach is to hit it that way, but he lost his chance. I didn't lose his chance, but now Ramirez will back up.
Oh-2 from De Los Santos, and he misses high to Nimmo. 1-2.
He's with the Phillies. De Los Santos was a wild, and he's a much more finished product now.
27 years old, made his debut as a 22-year-old with the Phillies back in 2018. 1-2 coming to Brandon, and Nimmo hits one in the air to right field, but that's playable for Brennan, and that's the second out. Nimmo flies out. De Los Santos has retired the first 2, and now Lindor, who has hits in each of his last 2 at bats. He doubled off the wall in left center in the 5th and scored, and then he singled to center in the 7th and scored. First game against his old team. Looking for some heroics here in the 8th inning. And he watches wide, ball 1. Lindor 6 home runs this year. Hit 138 of them in his 6 years in Cleveland. He takes the fastball high from De Los Santos. 2-0. Lindor's best home run year came in 2018 when he had 38 for Cleveland. And he grounds that one weakly on the right side. Jimenez down to a knee, throws out Lindor, and so De Los Santos settles things down with a 1-2-3 inning. On to the 9th, tied at 7. Well, when Ronnie and I are done with the festivities here, PointsBet postgame live will come your way. Gary Apple and Todd Zeal will have all the highlights, all the interviews, all the analysis, all the exhilaration or despair, depending on the outcome. PointsBet postgame live. Well, for the first time as a Met, David Robertson will work a 3rd straight day.
I mean, faced Tampa Bay 2 days in a row. Gave up runs in his first appearance, but was pretty solid in his second one yesterday.
He wound up the winning pitcher in that first outing when Alonso hit the walk-off home run. 17 pitches in that first game, but just 11 yesterday. Top of the batting order, Stephen Kwan leads off and takes a cutter inside from Robertson. 1-0. Last time David worked 3 straight days, it was for the Cubs last year in June. So almost a year later, doing the same. And that cutter called strike. 1-1. Kwan is 0 for 3 and a walk. Pop up 2 groundouts, 1 into a double play. And he has to move his feet on the cutter inside. 2-1. Mets have used 6 pitchers tonight. Carlos Carrasco made his return from the injured list, went 5, allowed 5 runs. Dominic Leone got hit for 2 runs. So did Steven Nagosic. That's hit sharply toward the middle. Nice backhand play by McNeil when he throws him out. Oh, wow. Jeff McNeil on a hot shot to his backhand. 1 away.
Robertson appreciates that defensive play. Not only the great backhand, but watching here from the booth, when he made that throw, Pete was on his way to first. He wasn't there. So he's throwing that blind to where he thinks the bag is and hits Pete perfectly.
That's a big time play by McNeil for the first down. Now Rosario grounds one down to Beatty, and quickly they're 2 out. So 2 up and 2 set aside on ground balls by Robertson. And now Jose Ramirez will come to bat. In the bottom of the 9th, the Mets will have their 3, 4, and 5 hitters due up: McNeil, Alonso, and Beatty. Mets had their first walk-off victory of the season on Wednesday night. Robertson trying to put them in a position for another. Ramirez has walked twice, otherwise 0 for 2. And he takes the first pitch curveball for a strike, 0-1. Ramirez 2 hits and 8 career at bats, including a home run against David Robertson. And he swings and misses. Hefty cut at a fastball, and it's 0-2. Cleveland bullpen is busy. Tyler Stephan, Emmanuel Clase. 0-2 to Ramirez. Half swing. Did he go? He did not. 1-2. So Clase, the closer, is up in case the Guardians get the lead. Probably Stephan if they don't. One-two coming. Hit sharply, and a diving stop by Alonso from his knees. He throws him out. Defense, defense, defense. McNeil and then Alonso with big-time plays to help out Robertson to a 1-2-3 inning, and that'll get the Mets to the plate in the bottom of the 9th in a 7-7 game. Mets trying to win it in their final turn at bat in a game they once trailed 5-0. Some great defense helping out David Robertson.
Most infielders have one way they prefer, to the right or to their left. McNeil can go either way, and Pete loves going to his right and makes a strike to Robertson.
How about the adjustment Pete made when he was lying on the ground, getting the glove up as that ball came up?
Right. And
Robertson, who needed a quick inning, pitching his 3rd straight day, got it helped out by his infield.
I mean, in a game that the Mets have given up 7 runs, ironically, it'll be their defense that'll win this game for them if they can score a point here.
Mets have hit 3 home runs to help them come back. Trevor Stephan comes on to pitch the bottom of the 9th, trying to get it to extra innings.
Boy, Stephan appeared in 66 games for this team last year, 2.69 ERA, and he started hot again.
He's given up 3 home runs this year. Jeff McNeil will be the first man to face him, and he pops the first pitch up. Ramirez into foul ground, has plenty of room, and there's the first out. So Stephan comes in, throws 1 pitch, and gets McNeil, and now Alonso, and it'll be interesting to see how and if the Guardians pitch to Alonso.
Pete has become, you cannot leave your seat when he comes up to the plate.
Except to stand.
Except to stand. Yeah, you're right. I mean, leave to go, you know.
Yep. Well, Pete hit the game-tying grand slam in the 7th. He hit the walk-off home run 2 nights ago. 17 home runs to lead the major leagues. 41 runs driven in. He bats with 1 out and nobody on in the bottom of the 9th. And a first pitch fastball at the knees for a strike, 0-1. Pete's home run on Wednesday night was his 4th walk-off home run, tied for the most in franchise history. Everybody's standing. Alonso got a good grip at that fastball and fouled it back, 0-2.
We saw this earlier in the year, how good he's seeing that ball, especially down. Seems like he puts a good swing on every pitch that he swings at.
Stephan, though, has him down in the count, 0-2. Brett Beatty on deck. And Alonso watches one outside, 1-2. Stephan, the 5th Cleveland pitcher of the night. Mel Quantrill went 5 2/3. Sam Hentges, James Karinchak, Angel De Los Santos, and now Stephan facing Alonso in the 9th. And a swing and a miss. He got him with a slider. And so Stephan strikes out Alonso for the 2nd out.
Well, he's just a nasty reliever, and his ability to go right after Pete after that grand slam home run with 2 pitches down and then finish him off with the split finger.
So 2 out and nobody on. Now Brett Baty, who homered in the 6th, and he swings and misses at another breaking ball. It's 0-1. Baty has a double and a home run tonight, 2 for 4. And he takes a late swing at that splitter and fouls it off, and it's 0-2.
So Stephan was in the bullpen. Watch Baty hit that fastball home run to left field. Counters with a slider and split finger for the first 2 pitches here in the 9th.
Drew Smith is up in the Mets bullpen, getting ready to pitch the 10th if we get that far. 0-2 to Baty, and a half swing. He takes a fastball outside, 1-2. There's Drew Smith getting ready for the 10th. Baty trying to end it before we get there. 1-2, and he struck him out. Went with the splitter away, so an impressive 1-2-3 inning for Stephan with a couple of strikeouts, and we're heading for the 10th. Mets and Guardians tied at 7. Well, Drew Smith's had a couple of days off, which makes him a very well-rested pitcher in this Mets bullpen right now.
Well, the way the Mets have gone through bullpen tonight, if he can have a quick 9th and the Mets can score, of course they win. If not, might need him to go extra.
Jose Ramirez made the last out in the 9th when Alonso robbed him, so he'll be the free runner to start the 10th. And Josh Naylor, who's driven in 5 of the 7 runs for the Guardians, will be the first man up against Smith. Remember that Josh Bell was taken out for a pinch runner at defense, and so Gabriel Arias is hitting in the 5 spot behind Naylor. Bell was taken out in the 7th. And Terry Francona, if you're thinking about such things, as an all right-hand batting bench. So here's Naylor, who had a 3-run homer against Carrasco in the 1st and a 2-run single against Nagosic in the 7th. Now facing Drew Smith with the free runner at 2nd. Mets played an extra inning game just a couple of nights ago. Gave up 2 in the top of the 10th and then got the walk-off homer. And the first pitch curveball from Smith outside, ball 1. This is only the Mets' 3rd extra inning game of the year. They're 2-0. It's the 7th already for the Guardians. They're 4-2. Eli Morgan next man up in the Cleveland bullpen. And that's popped up on the left side. And Baty into foul ground. So Naylor fails to advance the runner, and that's a big first out for Drew Smith. And now Emmanuel Clase gets up. You would think you'd want to bring in your closer no matter what in this newfangled extra inning.
Yeah.
We'll see how Francona plays it. Here's Arias up for the first time, hitting just 190 for the year. They had a 4-run lead when they took Bell out in favor of Arias. And now he bats in a big spot in the 10th. And he flies one out to right, pretty well hit. Getting turned around is Marte looking up, and it's out of here. Gabriel Arias brought in for defense. He hits a home run to give the Guardians the lead in the 10th inning. A 2-run shot for Arias, and it's 9-7 Cleveland. 3rd home run of the year for Arias. You just never know.
You never know. Taking out Josh Bell for defensive purposes. Arias comes in and a big fly to right field. It's a big, strong player. Made that look easy.
And now Jimenez floats one just foul down the left field line.
Bang, bang.
Well, this is the predicament the Mets found themselves in 2 nights ago. But they're going to be facing one of the elite closers in the bottom of the 10th, in Emmanuel Clase. Taken high by Jimenez, 1-1.
Look at the overhead. Big, strong first baseman. Got that ball out in a hurry over the head of Marte.
That is the first home run Drew Smith has allowed this year. And it comes in the 10th inning. This goes to show how much Drew Smith has improved. Last year he gave up 9 home runs. Had not allowed any over the first quarter of the season, but that's a big one. In the bottom of the 10th, the Mets will have Beatty as the free runner, Marte, Vientos, and Canadu up against Emmanuel Clase, who throws cutters at 102. 2-2 coming, and Jimenez has that click off his bat, a foul ball.
Unlike last year, though, Clase in the American League had kind of the year without the strikeouts that the Mets closer had. But this year he's come down to earth a bit.
His velocity's been down a little bit. More 97s and fewer 102s. Speaking of which, have you noticed Aroldis Chapman? He's throwing 104 again.
Well, I mean, Kansas City signed Aroldis Chapman for one reason, that he'd refined that velocity and they'll get a piece at the trading deadline or maybe earlier.
At 14 and 31, that's probably a good bet. Again, the 2-2, and Jimenez takes it high and wide, and it's 3-2. Miles Straw, the on deck batter. I wonder whether overuse has had an effect on Clase this year. He was in an American League high 77 games last year. That's a lot for a closer. 3-2 coming, and a bouncing ball to Lindor. Had him played perfectly and throws out Jimenez 2 away.
Now, Gary, not only was he in 77 games, but he was used down the stretch when they were trying to get in the postseason in more than 3-out appearances.
And then he was in 4 more games in the postseason and 6 more innings. So it's a lot of work.
Yeah.
Here's Miles Straw, who had a double and scored a run back in the second. Remember, the Guardians led this game 5-0 before the Mets began their comeback in the 5th. Mets have been coming back for weeks. Today was the 13th straight game that the opposition scored first against the Mets. New York came all the way back to get even, but Arias's home run has put the Guardians in front. Too high from Smith, 1-1. Do the Mets have another comeback in them? Naylor with a 5 RBI night. And that slider just missed. 2 balls and a strike to Straw. Mets have used 7 pitchers tonight. Carrasco, Leon, Nogosek, Hunter, Ottavino, Robertson, and Smith. And that fastball foul back 2-2. I mean, you know you're going to have to sit Robertson at least a day and maybe 2 after working him 3 straight days. Ottavino's now worked 3 of the last 4. Smith was the most rested player out there, but gives up the big hit here in the 10th. 2-2 now to Straw. And he fouls that one back. Miles Straw came over from Houston. And the slider in the dirt, 3-2. Astros could probably use him right now. It seems like all their center fielders are hurt. Chas McCormick and Jake Myers. We also have Michael Brantley down. Is it Jim Brown jersey?
32. 3-2.
3-2 count. And the breaking ball in, strike 3 called, so he gets Straw looking to end the inning, but Arias' 2-run homer puts the Guardians in front. Now Clase will try and close it out for Cleveland. Bottom of the 10th inning. Mets down 9-7. And the hard-throwing closer for the Guardians, Emmanuel Clase, comes on.
We see his numbers, pedestrian compared to his almost perfect numbers last year. Appeared in 77 games, ERA of 1.36 and 42 saves.
Well, he leads the league in appearances this year after leading the league last year. And, you know, he had 4 blown saves all of last year. He was 42 of 46, and he's already got 4 blown saves this year.
But that does go with 15 saves.
Yep, leads the league as he led last year. Brett Baty will be the free runner as we start the bottom of the 10th. Mets came from 2 runs down in the 10th 2 nights ago, and they'll try and do it again tonight. Starling Marte will be the first man up against Clase. Angel De Los Santos and Tyler Stephan did a great job of calming this game down for Cleveland. They each worked a 1-2-3 inning in the 8th and 9th respectively. And now Clase trying to close it out. Marte 0 for 3 tonight. He's also been hit by a pitch. And he takes that first cutter inside at 98 miles an hour, ball 1.
Boy, that shot really gave you a feeling of what it's like to face this young man.
So much movement at such a velocity. In the air, right center field. That's playable for Brennan. And he makes the catch. Tagging his Baty. He'll go over to third, but that's the first out. And now Mark Vientos will take his rips. Vientos has gone 0 for 3 and a walk in his second start of the season. Clase, just 25 years old. That's up the middle. Vientos has a base hit. That'll bring in Baty to cut the Guardians' lead to 1 run. It's now 9-8, and the tying run is on first. So Baty with his first hit of the night drives in a run. It's now 9-8.
Well, halfway there. You know you're going to get something on the outside part of the plate. Very aggressive like he was in his first AB, Vientos, and gets himself his first base hit tonight.
Now Daniel Vogelbach is going to bat for Mark Canha. Going to struggle for Vogelbach lately, hitless in his last 9 at bats. Eduardo Escobar will run for Vientos, carrying the tying run. So Vogelbach, who has at least a small advantage in that he's had an at bat against Clase before, steps in with the tying run at first. Escobar and 1 out. 9-8 Cleveland, 10th inning. And Vogelbach takes the fastball away for ball 1.
Well, a few things here if you're thinking about the stolen base. It's very slow to the plate, but the catcher threw out 2 yesterday trying to steal. He's got an outstanding arm.
One of the best throwers in the American League. And Vogelbach takes that one on the inside corner, a slider. 1-1. Clase's given up 2 steals this year, none caught. Opposition 10 for 11 against him in his career. There goes Escobar. The throw by Gallagher on a hop. Escobar is in. The ball goes into center field, but Escobar has to stay put. Escobar steals the base, his first of the year, to put the tying run into scoring position.
I love the aggressiveness. Why not? He's given it to you despite the good arm, but not a good throw by Gallagher. If it was, Escobar would have been out.
And Rosario bailed out.
Yep.
Instead of blocking that ball, but no damage. Now a base hit could tie it. 1-2 to Vogelbach. And he swings and misses at the slider from Clase, and that's the second out. So Vogelbach comes up empty, and now the Mets are down to their final out, exactly where they were on Wednesday night in the 9th inning when Francisco Alvarez came to the plate and hit a game-tying 3-run homer. Now Alvarez, who's also homered tonight, could tie it with a base hit and win it with a long ball. And a conference at the mound for the Guardians as Gallagher comes in to talk, and So does Arias, the first baseman.
You know what it reminds me of, Gary? Reminds me of one of his first at-bats when he came up in a huge situation and he just could not lay off the pitches that were outside of the strike zone. Growth comes with times in the major leagues. Let's see how far he's grown in this big at-bat.
That was Josh Hader earlier this year, and he cited that when he hit the home run 2 nights ago in the 9th inning against Jason Adam. Now facing Clase with the tying run at second and 2 out, last of the 10th. And Alvarez carves one foul on that first pitch cutter, 0-1.
Part of the discipline, Gary, in this situation is that you would love to hit a 2-run home run, but you do not need a 2-run home run. Base hit.
You know who needs a 2-run homer? The Mets bullpen. And Alvarez takes that slider on the outside corner, and now the Mets are down to their final strike.
Pitch from Clase, perfect pitch from an almost perfect pitcher.
Alvarez digging in. 0-2 from Clase, and a ground ball toward the home base hit around third. Escobar, he heads for the plate. The throw by Kwan goes to the backstop. The game is tied. Alvarez down to second. It's 9-9. Never say die week for the New York Mets. Alvarez on an 0-2 pitch found the hole, and we're tied again.
Well, this is why Clase has blown some saves this year. Bad pitch, left down and in with that cutter, trying to go away off the plate, and Ramirez couldn't get to it. Hustled by Escobar, and do not forget the stolen base by Escobar that put him in a position to tie this game.
Now the winning run at second for Nimmo, and he takes a cutter for a strike at 101 miles an hour.
Growth, patience.
By the way, a terrible throw by Kwan, allowing Alvarez to go to second. He had no chance to throw at Escobar. Here's the 0-1 to Nimmo, and a swing and a miss. Now that one caught the catcher Gallagher on the foul tip. Got him on the throwing hand.
Has that hand right against his thigh and right off his thumb.
Oh. That's a terrible place to put your hand, by the way.
I haven't seen him with his hand there all night. I was wondering, maybe trying to help himself. You can see that hand shaking.
Brooks Raley getting ready in case there is an 11th inning. Mets were down to their final strike before Alvarez struck.
Gary, I can't tell you what's going through the mind of that young hitter in that situation, but I will say the all or nothing swing that he had against Hader months ago, or a month ago, certainly not the same swing he took on that 2-strike pitch to get the Mets even.
Clase unable to throw in any warm-up pitches as they tend to Gallagher. You wonder if that plays a factor when we're ready to resume.
I mean, he'd be lucky to not break his thumb or finger. I mean, it hit right into the crevice between the forefinger and your thumb.
I think he was lucky, caught a little bit of that fatty stuff between the thumb and the forefinger. Otherwise, he'd be in real trouble.
And these catchers are tough as nails.
So Clase has not thrown a pitch in what, 3-4 minutes?
Yep. Should always play catch with one of the infielders.
He's ahead on Nimmo, 0-2. Alvarez at second with 2 out, tied at 9 in the bottom of the 10th. Nimmo's 0 for 4 tonight. And Brandon slaps one to the left side. Rosario deep in the hole. The long throw to first. Off the bag, Arias. And Nimmo's safe at first. Smart play by Arias to vacate the base. Otherwise, the winning run might have scored. It's a base hit for Nimmo, and now the winning run is at third for Lindor.
This is not a very smart play by Rosario. He had no chance to get a Nimmo at first base. A nice play by Arias to come off the base, but the only play there is to hold it and see if Alvarez takes a turn.
So you knew it was going to come down to this. Lindor with a chance to be the hero against his old team. Nimmo runs in a slide, base hit, and the Mets win it! Lindor against Cleveland gets the winning hit, and the Mets win 10-9. Oh, wow! What a tremendous week of baseball these New York Mets have put on. Down 5-0 to begin this game. Alonso with the grand slam to tie it. Down 2 runs in the 10th for the second time in 3 days. And again, they come back to win. And it's Lindor in his first ever game against Cleveland who comes through with the game-winning hit.
Jumps all over the first pitch. Another cutter that found the middle of the plate. Strong enough to just get this past Andres Gimenez. And after the infield hit from Nimmo, Alvarez, big at bat earlier, scores a run. So the babies and the veterans get the job done here in the 10th inning. Beatty scores a run. Vientos with a base hit. Escobar with a stolen base. Alvarez with a base hit, and now Lindor to end it.
We talked about it earlier tonight, how long the Mets lineup looks all of a sudden, and they need every bit of length tonight to win this game, their biggest comeback victory of the season. And it's the former Cleveland shortstop who comes through with the game-winning hit in the bottom of the 10th after the Mets came off the mat again. Big hits by Vientos and Alvarez, and ultimately Lindor, who's standing by with Steve Gelb. Steve?
All right, Gary, thanks. Francisco, that's a couple of stirring wins in the last 3 days. How would you describe what's gotten into this team here over the last week?
We're sticking together. We're playing for each other. We're playing for everyone here. We don't back down from any challenges that we got in our way, and God is good, man.
First pitch swinging against Clase, what were you looking for in that spot?
I got to give all the credit to Jeremy. He said, "Get a good pitch in the middle, try to put it in the upper deck." I did not do that, but it went through.
Francisco, in that 10th inning, it was again the kids setting things up. What has impressed you the most about their poise and their ability to make impacts in big moments here?
We call them the babies. The baby Mets. They're doing an outstanding job of grinding at bats, running the bases hard, being accountable, and we got to take a hat to one of our leaders, Nimmo, out of bat at the end. Just putting the ball in play, good things happen. I know I haven't done that a lot, but thank you for sticking with me.
Anything extra special about doing it in your first game against Cleveland?
Winning is always special. Winning is always special. I'm blessed to have my family here and the fans are sticking by me day in and day out, so I appreciate you guys.
Francisco, thanks for the time. Congrats on a big win.
Yep, thank you. Good job to the boys. The boys did it.
All right, Gare, back to you.
Mets with another thriller as they come from behind again and again and again. 10 innings, 10-9. Mets get back to 500 in thrilling fashion. They've won 3 in a row, 2 of them in heart stoppers, as Francisco Alvarez hit the base hit that got the Mets even, and Francisco Lindor with the winning hit after Alonso had tied it with a grand slam. The Amazing Mets Foundation is proud to contribute $2,500 to Northwell Health and the Katz Institute for Women's Health for every Mets win. For more information, visit northwell.edu/Katz. The total contribution so far this season is $57,000.
$500. New York Mets baseball on SNY is brought to you by Hyundai. Nominate the everyday hero in your life. Learn more at HyundaiSaluteToHeroes.com. By Spectrum, internet for $49.99 a month, free advanced Wi-Fi and a free mobile line. Restrictions applied. Visit Spectrum.com. By Carillon Behavioral Health, raising the quality of life through empathy and action. And by Stop and Shop, feed the moment. Final score in 10 tonight. The Mets 10, the Guardians 9. Game 2 of the series on Pix 11 tomorrow. First pitch at 4:10. Our coverage begins at 3:30 tomorrow. Max Scherzer for the Mets. Rookie Tanner Bybee goes for the Guardians. Next SNY telecast Tuesday night at Wrigley Field when the Mets open their series against the Chicago Cubs. Another thriller tonight for the Mets as they rally for 3 in the bottom of the 10th and win it 10-9. Now for Ron Darling, Steve Gelbs, and our entire SNY crew, I'm Gary Cohen at Citi Field. Time for PointsBet Postgame Live. Let's join Gary Apple and Todd Seal. Guys.